Einen wunderschönen Samstagabend miteinander.
Hallihallöchen.
So, und neben dem Chris haben wir
Juhu.
auch noch den Morpheus und den Pingu hier im Chat. Im Chat, ja. Nah dran und doch so weit entfernt im Sprachchat. So rum.
Hallo.
So, genau. Was liegt heute an? Ihr wisst es alle, wir sind bei der CitizenCon dabei, so gesehen. Die ja nicht ganz live stattfindet. Und das schauen wir uns dann um 21 Uhr an, genau, um 21 Uhr geht das los. Da schauen wir uns das an. Und ich habe mir gedacht, vorher schauen wir uns noch ein bisschen CitizenCon 2954, also letztes Jahr an, was sie da so nach Pyro gesagt haben, weil es ja so oft darum geht, dass wir eventuell auch Nukes bekommen könnten. Oder zumindest
Hallöchen,
Informationen bekommen.
Paladin.
Wir
So,
kriegen mal nichts. Wie immer.
ja, Nukes zu sehen, hier kennen wir doch, ne?
Nichts
Nukes
zu
zu
sehen.
sehen,
Gehen Sie weiter.
weitergehen.
Gehen Sie
Genau,
weiter.
gehen Sie
Nichts zu
weiter, hier
sehen.
gibt es Nukes zu sehen. So ist es, ne? Ich würde das einfach mal hier im Hintergrund so ein bisschen laufen lassen und dann können wir darüber quatschen. Warte mal, muss man jetzt mal meinen Ton hier ein bisschen runterdrehen. So, genau, dann können wir uns das so ein bisschen angucken und ein bisschen drüber philosophieren, quatschen, wie auch immer. Was uns da vielleicht noch erwarten könnte. Weil es heißt ja, dass das Nukes-System jetzt direkt kommen soll. Eventuell gab ja schon so einige Leaks dazu. Und ja, vielleicht haben sie ja sogar recht, diese Leaks. Ich bin mal echt gespannt drauf, was da so kommt. Sie haben jetzt ein Jahr an Nukes auf jeden Fall basteln können, ohne dass wir irgendwelche Informationen weiter dahinter gekriegt haben. Und wir wissen ja zum Beispiel, dass sie schon einige Arbeiten abgeschlossen oder beziehungsweise angefangen haben in Bezug auf Levski. Da ist ja schon so einiges passiert. Wir sehen es ja auch hier unten gerade zum Beispiel Working in Process Greybox. Das heißt, es ist ja nicht mehr nur einfach Planung und Workart, sondern es ist ja tatsächlich schon in Arbeit.
Genau, so Level of Details werden gemacht und so weiter und so fort, ne?
Genau.
Es werden Missionen gestrickt und so weiter und so fort. Also, das ist schon da sind sie schon gut am Machen. Und, ich denke mal, das ist, ja, vielleicht also, ich persönlich sage, es gibt ja 2 Arten, ne? Entweder ich posaune ganz, ganz viel raus und lasse den Hype-Train sozusagen immer am Laufen, ja? Oder ich sage nichts, halte es wirklich bedeckt, ne? Und knall dann 'nen echten Burner raus, ne? Man
So ist
weiß es
es.
nicht.
Und ich finde, wir kennen es ja bei CIG, dass sie es gerne so gemacht haben, dass sie das gerade bei diesen Cons einmal ankündigen, dann hörst du ewig davon nichts und
Mhm.
dann kommt's raus. Ne? Haben wir bei Pyro gesehen, haben sie ähnlich gemacht. Sie haben es zwischendrin nicht viel von gezeigt, außer da, wo es dann wirklich in die heiße Phase ging. Und dann war es auf einmal da.
Ja,
Also da werden wir uns auf jeden Fall überraschen lassen können, was da noch so kommt und wie schnell das auf uns zukommt. Ähm,
richtig.
ja,
Und sie haben ja
aber
damals immer gesagt, das, was die Entwicklung so 'n bisschen, stagnieren lässt, ja,
mhm.
ist ja quasi das Server-Mesh, ja? Sie haben gesagt: „Ist Server-Mesh da, können Sie raushauen." So, Server-Mesh haben wir jetzt seit 'nem Jahr, 'n bisschen mehr als 'n Jahr, oder testen wir seit 'nem Jahr. Und das läuft gut. Pyro läuft hervorragend. Server-Mesh kriegt man gar nicht mehr wirklich mit. Ja, es ist einfach da, ja. Wir spielen, wir machen, wir tun. Und, ja, jetzt, ist der nächste Schritt da, ne? Und
Ja, und
ich wäre ja,
an nix ist ja auch nicht wirklich viel dran. Wir haben da 3 Planeten, einen Eisplaneten, einen, Giftgasplanet, ich glaube, das ist der Nyx 2. Und dann gibt's noch einen, 3., ja, und dann gibt's halt die Lewski-Landezone. Mehr gibt's da nicht. Ja, also,
ja.
da ist nicht viel Arbeit, zu machen gegenüber zum Beispiel, Pyro, wo ja jede Menge Planeten und Monde, vorrätig sind.
Ja, ja,
Richtig.
richtig.
Und was halt
Jack
eben,
Reacher und Alan Pie, hallo.
genau, erstmal Hallo zusammen, falls ich gerade eben noch nicht Hallo gesagt habe. Ich war ein bisschen im Start vertieft, sag ich mal. ähm, ja, was halt eben vielleicht noch dazu kommen wird, sind noch kleinere Raumstationen, wie wir das halt eben jetzt auch kennen. Aber das wird man dann sehen, ob da wirklich noch was dazu kommt, weil erstmal ist es so nicht bekannt. Das, was bekannt ist, sind halt eben diese 3 Planeten plus Levski als Außenstation, sag ich mal. Und ich glaube, was waren das? 2 oder 3?
3.
3 Sternensprünge. Nee, Sterntore. Ja, ich wollte Sterntore sagen.
Planeten, ja.
3 Planeten.
Nee, ich rede von den Jump Points.
Also,
Wir haben einmal den nach Pyro, logischerweise.
Genau,
nach
ein.
Oh,
Würpin,
Was?
Nach Würpil oder Werpil, glaube ich. Oder
Ja, irgendwie sowas, genau. Nach Terra hatten wir, glaube ich, auch einen.
Und nach Terra, genau, das sind die 3, glaube
Das
ich.
sind die 3, ne? Wir hatten 3, glaube ich, ja.
Ich glaube, ja, das sind 3 gewesen.
Kommt man von Stanton und von Nyx nach Terra oder was, ja?
Von Stanton nicht, von Pyro.
Von Pyro, ja.
Und von Terra.
Genau.
Ja, aber man kommt doch auch von Stanton nach Terra, oder?
Nein.
Ach ja, stimmt.
Ja, doch.
Ja,
Wollte
nach,
schon
nach,
sagen,
nach
ja.
Terra ja,
Terra.
aber du kommst nicht nach Nyx.
Genau,
Ach,
von
stimmt, ja,
Terra.
ja.
Müsstest du jetzt hergehen, von Stanton nach Terra, von Terra nach Nyx. Oder
Genau.
von Pyro nach Nyx, je nachdem.
Naja, ja, klar, verstehe.
Was aber, glaube ich, ne, Blödsinn, es gibt sogar 4 Jump Points. Nyx, Castra, glaube ich. Das würde auch dann
Ach,
logisch
Kestra, ja klar,
sein.
natürlich.
Ja,
Kestra ist noch da.
weil das wäre dann im Prinzip das Rad, was sie ja planen. Ja. Von Stanton nach Pyro, nach Nyx, nach Castra, von Castra wahrscheinlich nach Terra und
Genau.
dann wieder zurück. Ja. Also,
Ist richtig, ja. Ich hab's völlig verdrängt. Kestra ist ja noch da.
Da
genau.
bin ich definitiv nicht so informiert wie ihr. Ja.
Ja, das macht ja nichts.
Jay Seltsam,
Aber
Hallöchen.
dafür reden wir ja auch gerade drüber, ne?
Ja, genau.
Jay Seltsam, ein wunderschön. Schön, dass du da bist.
Man muss dazu sagen, alles das, was wir jetzt sagen, das ist quasi ja einfach nur so ein bisschen Gedankenspiele von uns. Es ist nichts Offizielles. Wir wollen einfach nur ein bisschen rumspinnen und überlegen, was könnten sie uns dieses Jahr beziehungsweise jetzt bei der CitizenCon irgendwie ankündigen oder uns irgendwie so ein bisschen schmackhaft machen.
Ja, das ist
Ja.
ja grundsätzlich sowieso das. Es ist ja nun mal.
Brainstorming.
Genau, es ist ja jetzt Con-Zeit, sag ich mal. Da kann man sowas natürlich gerne machen, gut machen, darüber zu philosophieren und zu diskutieren und ein bisschen rumzuträumen, was uns da so erwarten
Ja.
könnte und was wir noch
Ja.
so sehen, ne? Also,
Ja.
wenn nicht heute, wann dann? So, ne?
Richtig. Und gleich werden wir ja auch
Morgen.
genau, werden wir ja im Video auch was sehen, was ja jetzt auch schon reingekommen ist, was sie gerade im PTU testen und was Erik und ich uns vor einer Woche angeschaut haben. Das ist ja jetzt hier gerade die Polaris und jetzt kommt ja da gleich diese wunderbare Kraken hoch und danach werden ja die Außenfrachtelevator gezeigt, die wir jetzt ja in Pyro schon zum Testen drin haben. Zwar noch nicht vollkommen mit Level of Details ausgeschmückt, aber sie sind auch da. Ja?
Ist so.
Da bin ich sowieso gespannt, wie das funktionieren wird. Allein schon, weil man da ja schutzlos ist. Und so wie es ausschaut, wird das nicht automatisch stattfinden, sondern du wirst wirklich manuell das alles verladen müssen.
Citizen, ein wunderschön.
So sieht's aus derzeit, ja, genau. Citizen, ein wunderschön. Schön, dass du da bist. So. Ach, guck mal, es gibt ja auch noch einen Jump Point zum Bremen-System. Im Nyx.
Ah, okay.
Wir können uns ja gleich, wenn das Video vorbei ist,
Bremen.
ja,
Bremen
können
ist
wir
toll.
uns gerne auf der Internetseite ja mal die Star Map angucken.
Ja.
Ne, die Arc Map.
Genau, mache ich gerade nebenbei. Und da sehe ich von wegen, da gibt es noch so ein paar mehr. Wir haben 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also ich sehe auf Anhieb jetzt mal eben 6 Jump Points. Ja, 6.
Ziemlich weit
Einmal
draußen, oder?
nach Odin, nach Kestra, nach Bremen, nach Pyro, nach Virgil und nach Tohil. Das sind also 6 haben wir.
Nach
Schon viel.
Odin. Sehr interessant. Ja, könnte vielleicht einen Zusammenhang mit Squadron 42 in Zukunft haben.
Ja, wer weiß, ne?
Citizen, Sitco ist nicht, übt nicht fürs Vaterland, zur Verteidigung des Vaterlandes. Der
Okay.
Sitco ist gerade für seinen Autor-Kanal unterwegs.
Der liegt im Wald.
Und ich kann euch sagen, er ist im Nachhinein sehr, sehr traurig. Es hat ist leider nicht gepasst von der Zeit her. Und die CitizenCon war ja letztes Jahr auch eine Woche später, ja. Und das war jetzt irgendwie nicht so geplant, dass sie eine Woche früher stattfindet. Und deswegen, ja, ist er natürlich sehr traurig darüber, weil er wäre heute auch gerne dabei gewesen.
Wer nicht, aber manchmal spielt das Leben halt anders, als wie es gedacht ist, ne? Wir haben ja auch
So
gedacht,
sieht's
dass es
aus.
dieses Jahr in Frankfurt eine Messe stattfindet. Das ist ja auch nicht passiert. Ja, ne? Es ist halt so. Manchmal kann man das nicht alles so genau planen.
Was soll ich sagen? Die CitizenCon ist nie in Wien.
Dann.
Das ist Dankeschön, Citizen. Dann bleibst du hier
das
bei uns. Sehr
ist
gerne.
ja nett von dir, danke.
So, und jetzt gleich sieht man, ach übrigens da, die Caterpillar, ich liebe sie, ne?
Deine Caterpillar, ja, ein weiß.
Nee, in weiß, also hier mit dem Magenta-Skin. Ne?
Ja, ich weiß. Ach, Kaladin, vielen Dank für dein Prime-Abo im 4. Monat. Dankeschön.
Sophie.
Möp.
Möp, möp.
Und ich habe auch ein kleines Giveaway für euch vorbereitet. Passend zu CitizenCon möchte ich einmal gerne das. Ach, jetzt habe ich es vergessen. Verdammt, wie heißt denn das Ding?
CitizenCon Goodies Pack?
Ja, danke. Das heißt genauso wie die CitizenCon. Ergibt irgendwie Sinn, ne? Oh,
Ja, macht
Gott,
Sinn, ne?
ey. Es tut mir leid, ich bin heute ein bisschen durch. Es war eine anstrengende Woche bei mir. Ja, genau, ich habe ein CitizenCon Goodies Pack vorbereitet. Das werde ich so gegen 21 Uhr dann auch starten. Wenn die Con startet natürlich, dann passt das alles zusammen. Und ja.
Jetzt ganz kurz, jetzt kommt das, wovon ich gerade gesprochen habe. Jetzt sind diese Frachtelevator zu sehen. Wie
Genau.
gesagt, die jetzt wir auch schon in Pyro zum Testen haben im PTU. Ne? Also von daher bin gespannt, wann das wirklich funktional dann auch wirklich im Spiel ist.
Geht los. Ja, das ist ja erstmal wieder diese Vorübertragung wahrscheinlich, ne? Also ich kann mir nicht vorstellen, dass das jetzt schon direkt losgeht.
Weil ich ja gerade die Reclaimer gesehen habe. Da müssen wir auch noch gleich mal drüber reden.
Können wir machen. Vor allen Dingen, die übertragen doch eigentlich auch auf Twitch, oder nicht? Nicht nur auf YouTube.
Na klar.
Auf
na
YouTube
klar.
ist ja nur wieder, du kannst es schon weit vorher starten, ne?
Nö, kannst du auch auf Twitch, läuft auch schon. Genau, das ist auch schon drin, ne? Also du hast halt diesen Frachtelevator, der da ist. Der hat zwar noch keine Kollision, du kannst da durchfliegen, aber da, wo er da gerade dran steht, das Männchen, und sozusagen den öffnen und schließen kann, das ist auch schon drin. Das haben Erik und ich auch schon gezeigt.
Genau.
Verrückt. Verrückt, ja.
Ja.
Genau. Ganz kurz, ich habe gesagt, lass uns mal kurz über die Reclaimer reden. Laut Patch Notes fürs PTU steht ja, dass sie am Frachtelevator bei der Reclaimer dran gearbeitet haben. Ja? Und dann steht so Schrägstrich Docking. Ja.
Okay.
Kann jetzt, ich war leider im letzten Patch nicht dabei. Also den
habe ich auch noch nicht.
habe ich gestern irgendwie nicht mitbekommen. Kann man, oder weiß das jemand aus dem Chat, kann man gerade mit der Reclaimer docken? Ich glaube nicht, oder? Immer noch nicht. Ich wüsste nicht wo.
Würde mich auch ein bisschen wundern, ehrlich gesagt. Also, die hat ja noch keine richtigen Docking-Ports und sowas, nichts dran. Also, das könnte ich mir jetzt nicht gerade vorstellen, dass das funktioniert.
War
Ja,
nicht
wie
das
gesagt,
Problem beim Dockingboard, dass die Thruster dazwischen sind? Diese Riesendinger? Dass die da den Weg versperren? War da nicht irgendwas?
das weiß ich nicht.
Weil diese Dockingboards sind ja minimal über die Thruster hinten.
Ja, aber Moment, nee, das ist nicht wirklich ein Docking-Port. Ich glaube, der richtige Docking-Port, der ist ja geplant gewesen obendrauf.
Glaube ich nicht. Ich glaube, das sind links und rechts die Seitentüren, wo man normalerweise immer reinkommt.
Naja,
Und die Dockingboards sein. Und die, glaube ich, sind zu tief, dass sie mit den Dings von den Thruster versperrt sind.
ja, möglich.
Da siehst du, und die Con haben sie jetzt gerade den Timer eingeblendet, die fängt jetzt in 28 Minuten an.
Ja, klar. Ja, eine halbe Stunde.
Ja.
Nur vorgeplänkelt, glaube ich jetzt.
Nur, nee, nicht mal das. Es ist einfach ein Screen, wo der Timer läuft.
Ah, okay. Ich dachte, Jared fängt an um halb, hat es geheißen, dann irgendwann einmal. Oder
Vielleicht kommt das gleich noch oder so. Wir werden es sehen. Wir werden mal gucken. Ich habe auch die Untertitel eingeschaltet bei Twitch, aber wie es manchmal ist,
ne? Sehr hoffe, ja, dass wir Vendors sehen, dass wir viel über Vendors sehen, weil NUX-System ist ja das Einfallstor der Vendors.
Ja, genau.
Ich hoffe, dass man da viel sehen wird.
Da gab es doch mal so ein Bild zu, von wegen mit der Grenze ähm, zu den Bösen, sag ich mal, die waren ja gesagt,
Wenn
zu
du
den
System.
Wenn-Du-System. Mein Gott, ey.
Genau.
Ich sag ja, heute
Das
ist nicht mein Tag.
Verbil oder wie das heißt, glaube ich. Ich glaube, das ist Verbil, oder?
Ja, könnte
Ja,
sein, ja.
lass uns doch mal auf
Ja.
die Star Map gucken.
Und Tyrol, glaube ich. Tyrol ist auch ne, Blödsinn, das ist ein Unclaimed, glaube ich. Ich habe jetzt gerade die Karte nicht offen, mache das alles aus dem Kopf, also ich weiß nicht genau.
Ja, wir können ja mal
Du bist so ein Flexer, Morpheus, Junge.
Ja, echt mal,
Der
muss
macht das
erstmal.
alles aus dem Kopf, Junge.
Muss er
Dafür kann
erstmal,
ich
ne?
nix.
Ja.
Dafür kann
So,
ich nix.
Da ist es. Nix kannst du dafür, ja.
genau.
Ich
Dann haben
kann
wir das
nix dafür.
Nix-System. So, warte mal, ich muss mal eben hier das andere zumindest lautlos machen. Nervt ein bisschen, wenn er im Hintergrund quatscht. So,
Du
kommt's.
hättest doch einfach auf Pause drücken können. Ne?
Ihr könnt ja weiter gucken, ist mir egal, was ihr guckt, Mensch. So, da haben wir's. Die Star Map oder Arc Map, wie auch immer. Das
Genau.
Nix-System, genau. Ja, und da sehen wir auch schon die ganzen Jump Points, ne? Das eine geht hier natürlich zu mir nach Hause, ist ja klar. Ne? Könnt ihr mich mal besuchen kommen.
Soweit ich weiß, ist ja das Bremen-System das Hauptsystem von Origin.
Ja, genau. So,
Also
irgendwie so war es zumindest früher mal so gesagt. Ob das alles so bleibt,
genau.
das sind alles noch Spekulationen. Das ist alles das, was früher von CIG gesagt wurde. Und zum Bremen-System gehört zum Beispiel auch die Avenger Titan Renegade, weil die nachempfunden wurde nach einem UE-Piloten, der mit einer Stalker, wo die Zellen ausgebaut hat und irgendwas hat er ja da gemacht. Das ist alles in diesen Dingens drinne.
In der Lore.
In der Lore drinne. Ich bin da jetzt nicht ganz fest drinne. Und da werden die Avenger Titan Renegade wird da benutzt für die UI und fliegt da ganz viel rum. Auf jeden Fall. So, genau. Das ist so mal kleines Hintergrundwissen. Aber das sind alles so alte Lore-technische Sachen. Ob das alles wirklich so dann später bleibt, ist fraglich, ne? Weil es hier Star Citizen ist, was das angeht, schon sehr, sehr riesig. Da kann sich noch so einiges ändern, ne?
Und wir wissen ja, sie ändern ja immer wieder was, weil Pyro zum Beispiel war ja auch ein System, was eigentlich mehr oder minder tot war, ja. Und das haben sie dann umgebaut in ein relativ lebendiges System.
Genau.
Also da kann ja immer wieder was passieren, was verändert wird.
Richtig. Ja, es ist einfach so. Wir müssen damit sowieso leben. Es sind Geschichten, die hat man sich vor 10 Jahren teilweise ausgedacht. Die können mit heute vielleicht gar nicht mehr zusammenhängen, ne?
Ja.
Ja.
Ja, vor allem, was ich halt sehe, ist, bei 5 Systemen, ja, kann man halt auch keine toten Planeten oder sowas wirklich rausbringen, weil dafür ist dann der Space zu klein. Ja. Also wir brauchen ja
Richtig.
auch Spaß und Bespaßung, ja, und auf toten Planeten ist halt nichts. Ja. Und das kann sich halt CG auch nicht leisten, dass sie da jetzt Sternensysteme rausbringen, die was komplett tot sind, wo nichts los ist.
Das
Bei
ist so,
100
genau.
Systemen ist was anderes.
Ja, richtig.
Hallöchen,
Deshalb,
Biggie und Twitch.
Big E on Twitch, ein wunderschön. Schön, dass auch du da bist. Ja, die Spannung steigt. Wir sind alle gespannt und aufgeregt quasi. Mal gucken, was uns so erwarten wird, ne? Und da philosophieren wir auch gerade so ein bisschen drüber und auch so das, was wir halt eben schon kennen, ne? Ja, so ist das alles, ne? Ist alles nicht ganz einfach. Wir wissen nicht, was uns noch erwarten wird. Wir können halt nur philosophieren und da das das Nuke-System halt jetzt so langsam in greifbare Nähe rücken könnte, weil wir haben ja auch schon so ein paar Leaks bekommen zu den ganzen. Da wollen wir natürlich nicht weiter ausschweifend zu sein. Äh, Könnte es aber schon sein, dass wir heute auf jeden Fall was über das Nuke-System erfahren werden noch.
Mehr erfahren.
Genau, mehr erfahren, ja.
Ich meine, das ist ja eigentlich untypisch hier auf unserem Kanal. Wir haben ja mal gesagt, dass wir im Livestream nicht auf sowas wie Leaks eingehen,
Genau.
aber die sind ja doch schon ziemlich, wie soll ich sagen, schon ziemlich prominent gewesen in den letzten Wochen, ja, und von daher kann man da einfach mal so ein bisschen spinnen, ja.
Ja.
Ja,
Vor allem es kommt ja auch jetzt viel, was irgendwie Parallele mit Nyx haben. Also kann durchaus sein, dass dass da was kommt.
Genau.
Ich meine, guck mal, wir haben es in den Onyx Facilities, für alle, die die Onyx Facilities gespielt haben. Wir wissen alle, was im letzten Raum ist, der im Side B, ja, was da so rumliegt auf dieser, ich sage jetzt mal, Operationstisch, ja, auf diesem futuristischen Operationstisch. Ja, wir müssen gucken halt, ne, was da passiert. Groschkönig, ein wunderschön.
Groschkönig, ein wunderschön. Schön, dass du da bist.
Moin.
Ist so. Das ist so. Wir müssen einfach mal abwarten und mal gucken, was sie uns heute so zeigen werden. Ich meine, wir werden es sehen. In knapp 23 Minuten geht's los. Da erfahren wir dann mal wieder Neuigkeiten, ne?
Und das beliebteste Thema, Schiffe. Erwartet ihr irgendwas zur CitizenCon?
Zur Con selber. Boah, schwierig.
Wirklich schwierig.
Zur Con selber erwarte ich jetzt, glaube ich, nichts. Die IAE ist ja jetzt nicht mehr allzu weit entfernt. Da erwarte ich dann die Perseus. Aber heute direkt erwarte ich jetzt so nichts, ehrlich gesagt.
Es rumort ja, dass irgendwelche Leute meinen, es könnte die Paladin heute erscheinen. Bin ich mir auch nicht so sicher, ob das wirklich passieren wird, aber ausschließen würde ich es jetzt auch nicht. Dann
Laut-
ja, gibt es halt
laut-
auch noch andere Sachen, wo man eventuell hört, dass es was kommen könnte. Aber
Laut den Newsletter hier, Star Citizen, ja, wo sie immer so erzählen, wo sie sind, ist ja die Paladin ja schon Level of Detail 0. Also die ist ja im Prinzip schon fertig.
Ja, deswegen werden es auch viele vermuten. Allerdings würde ich sagen, also glaube ich eher, dass sie bei sowas wie der Con jetzt nicht unbedingt sagen, wir schmeißen jetzt, wir bringen das jetzt raus, sondern ich glaube, da werden sie eher entweder was Großes, Gehyptes nehmen
Oder was noch nicht angekündigt ist.
Genau das meine ich.
So wie damals die 400i, die ja wirklich auch in den Leaks kaum auftauchte. Die war auf einmal da.
Richtig. Genau.
es soll ja angeblich ja noch ein einziges Schiff geben, was in Concept released wird, beziehungsweise verkauft wird. Das haben sie ja beim letzten SCL, glaube ich, gesagt, oder so, wo es geheißen hat, ja, es gibt keine Konzeptschiffe mehr. Da haben sie ja gesagt, wird noch ein einziges Konzept
Ja, genau.
geben. Vielleicht wird es das sein. Ja. Mal schauen.
Wer weiß, ne? Kann alles möglich sein.
Wir werden es sehen.
Oder vielleicht irgendwas mit Venduls, man weiß es nicht. Nix halt.
Ich meine, die
Man weiß
letzte Information, die wir, glaube ich, haben, ist, dass dieses Jahr noch 4 unangekündigte Vehikel irgendwie erscheinen sollen, ne?
Pingu, danke. Sehr geil. Ist sehr, sehr geil.
Danke.
Bingo, danke.
Ja, Chris kriegt nichts mit, der ist völlig out of order gerade.
Ach, ich habe dir das Overlay geupdatet, ja.
Ja, musst du dir angucken, ist geil. Ich liebe es. Hat er wieder richtig geil gemacht.
Jeder kann froh sein, einen kleinen Bingo zu haben.
Ja, absolut.
Das sowieso. Habt ihr das aber auch bei euch, dass wenn ihr den Livestream anhabt, hier von wegen, dass teilweise das Bild einfach scheiße wird?
Nö.
Okay, mal die automatische Qualität mal weg, mal hier. So, fest, so.
Was ich hin und wieder habe bei Twitch ist, dass die Musik anfängt, irgendwann einmal zu leiern. Ja, das passiert mir bei diversen Streams.
Ja.
Ich weiß nicht, woran es liegt.
Ich bei mir auch. Ich
Okay.
finde es total zum Kotzen. Ist immer so, wenn ich Citgo Stream zum Beispiel anmache, ne, oder sowas, dann leiert die Musik am Anfang so stark, dann muss ich nochmal den neu starten, den
Stream?
Den Stream und dann geht das. Ne?
Ja, bei mir muss ich es ein paar Mal neu starten. Und interessanterweise, wenn ich das dann irgendwann im Stream sage, ja, heißt es immer, das kann nicht sein, weil bei denen allen ist das nicht. Ja. Also weiß ich nicht, woran das wirklich liegt.
Ja, liegt an dir.
Ja, sowieso. Ich bin Wiener. Was erwartet man? Ja? Also.
So, ich werde jetzt kurz verschwinden für ein paar Minütchen. Ich hole mir nämlich jetzt ein kaltes Kaltgetränk.
Nasebude.
Und muss noch mal kurz auf die kleine Pipi-Box.
Ja, das sollten
Kurz
alle
noch
vorher
einen-
tun, nicht, dass wir hier währenddessen aufstehen
Da,
müssen.
wo die Pinguine mal alleine gehen, meinst du?
Ja, und dann noch mal kurz in den Ozean reinspringen, was zum Knabbern organisieren und dann
Ach so, ich
geht's
dachte-
los, würde ich sagen.
Ich dachte,
Lass
das machen
ihn-
die immer
lass ihn
zusammen
nicht-
mit Eisbären, also.
Lass
Okay.
dich nicht weghaschen von den
Die
Orcas.
sehen wir
ne?
nicht.
Ich weiß. Außer im Zoo. Ruhe. Da ist die Ruhe.
Endlich die Ruhe vor dem Sturm.
Ich bin noch gar nicht weg. Was ist los mit euch?
Aber ruhig ist es trotzdem schlagartig gewesen.
Gänsehaut, ich habe mich schon gefreut.
Wow.
Oh.
Sei froh, dass ich
So.
schon aufgestanden bin, Morpheus, sonst würde ich das nämlich jetzt.
So, was haltet ihr jetzt, ne? Wir haben ja jetzt noch ein paar Minuten Zeit. Was haltet ihr vom Yomandi?
Ja,
Grillen,
Ich
Zirpen.
muss dazu sagen, ich habe es noch nicht geschafft, da reinzugehen in den Yomandi, weil als ich es testen wollte, war da dieser Bug, dass wenn du da einmal drin warst, dann blieb die Tür zu. Es gab kein Reset oder kein Cooldown, ja, damit die
Mhm.
Tür wieder aufgeht, dass du rein kannst. Ja, ansonsten habe ich mir das dann, erst wollte ich mich nicht hypen lassen und erst wollte ich auch nicht mich spoilern lassen, aber dann habe ich irgendwie gesagt, ach komm, dann guckst du dir jetzt ein Video an. Ja, wie sieht's aus bei euch? Wie findet ihr das Ding?
Sunro, ein wunderschön. Schön, dass du da bist. Sorry, musste mal
Grüß dich,
inzwischen grätschen.
Sunro. Ja, sehr gerne.
An sich finde ich es ganz geil, die Idee.
Ja.
Aber ich finde so diese leuchtenden Punkte, damit man weiß, wo man hinschießen muss, finde ich irgendwie schon wieder, weiß ich nicht.
Ja gut, aber
hat doch der
der
große Wurm
normale,
auch.
Ja,
der
genau.
normale,
Aber da sind das einfach so ein paar Hautschuppen, die abstehen. Und was ich jetzt gesehen habe, ist, als wenn da so ein Kristall an der Seite klebt.
aber Erik, das gibt es in vielen Spielen, dass du so
Weil,
Spots.
nee, das meine ich
ja,
nicht. Ich meine, bei dem ersten haben sie es besser gemacht.
zum Beispiel, wenn ich Resident Evil jetzt die letzten Tage gespielt habe, habe ich
Ja,
zum Beispiel auch im Nemesis gehabt, dass das offene Herz, ja, wo man drauf schießen soll, also diese markanten Punkte, diese Schwachstellen der Bosse, die hat man in vielen Spielen.
das ist auch überhaupt nicht das Problem, aber die so extrem auffallen. Mir geht es in dem
Ja,
Falle drum, von wegen bei dem Sandwurm, ich habe den Namen einfach gerade schon wieder vergessen, ich hasse es.
Na, Valaka?
Bei dem Valaka, genau, da hast du so diese Hautschuppen, die so ein bisschen
mhm.
abstehen und wo das hinterrot ist, was echt gut reinpasst in das Ganze. Und ich finde bei dem, also ich habe es jetzt selber noch nicht live gesehen, ich habe es nur über ein Video gesehen. Und bei dem Diamandi hast du von außen so ein Kristall dran kleben.
Hm.
Das sieht nicht aus, als wenn das zu dem Tier selber gehört, weil das eine Schwachstelle ist, die es durch einen Kampf verloren gekriegt hat oder was weiß ich was, sondern einfach so, ach ja, da ist mal was dran gebappt worden, da kannst du drauf schießen.
Hm.
Ja, das sind halt offene Stellen, wo du halt die Elektrizität drunter siehst von dem Wurm oder von der Schlange.
Ja, muss ich mir wahrscheinlich einfach mal live angucken selber,
Ja,
um das
ja.
richtig zu sehen. Also wie gesagt, ich kenne das jetzt nur durch ein Video. Muss man
Jack,
sich wieder mal angucken.
Jack Reacher schreibt gerade, nichts, nicht mein Gameplay. Kann ich total verstehen. Gibt gerade viele, die das sagen, warum muss jetzt wieder irgendwie ein Schlangen-Wurmartiges Vieh kommen? Ja, ich persönlich bin da ja emotionslos. Ich muss sagen, mir gefällt tatsächlich die Schlange optisch besser als der Wurm. Ja,
Mhm.
es liegt aber einfach daran, weil ich mag Schlangen an sich und ich mag auch dieses Gesicht von der Schlange. Ich mag auch die Attacken, die macht, ja. Ja, finde ich persönlich besser, aber ich kann es total verstehen, wenn Leute sagen: „Boah, jetzt wieder so ein Wurm." Ich meine, 13 Jahre Entwicklung und wir sind immer noch bei Würmern, ja, so, weißt du, was
Ja,
so,
gut, im
ne?
Endeffekt muss man aber auch das dann so sehen. Sie zeigen uns jetzt ganz viel von dem, also es bringt vieles rein, was die irgendwo im Hintergrund mitentwickelt haben, um es dann auf die Systeme nachher zu verteilen. Weil ihr dürft ja nicht vergessen, die wollen ja auf 1.0 raus. Und da werden sie uns jetzt schon viele Sachen auch zwischendurch einfach mal reinballern, die nichts mit Standen nachher
Ja,
zu tun
ja.
haben, sondern dann vielleicht irgendwo in Nukes sind oder was weiß ich was, ne?
Ja,
Aber ich
ja,
muss
das ist ja
sagen,
richtig, aber es ist
da
was
gebe
soll
ich
ich sagen?
Jack recht, ja. Ist jetzt auch nicht unbedingt mein Gameplay, ja,
Mhm.
aber man muss sagen, es ist schon gut umgesetzt. Also man merkt schon, dass CG da besser wird. Also der Yamandi vom Gameplay her, vom Kampfablauf, ja,
Mhm.
gefällt mir wesentlich besser als der
Ja,
Valorant.
ja,
Also
absolut.
muss man schon sagen.
Morigos und Ellenpie schreiben das ja auch gerade, ne? Jo, Schlange besser als Wurm, beziehungsweise Ellenpie sagt, Schlange achte ich optisch als auch von den Bewegungen her gelungen. Sehe ich auch so, absolut.
Ja,
Ist ein
Jack Reacher,
Upgrade, ja.
kann
Ist
ich
auf jeden
verstehen.
Fall Upgrade.
Ja.
Jack, das kann ich durchaus verstehen. Kampf hat man in Spawner 42 genug.
Ja,
Ja.
Jack, ganz deiner Meinung. Ich bin auch nicht so der Freund von ganzer Zeit Herumgeballer, ja, aber man muss halt damit leben und wenn es dann kommt, ja, dann will ich wenigstens, dass
Hm,
halbwegs gut ist, ja.
richtig.
Was ich gut finde, und ich glaube, das magst du auch den Gedanken, Morpheus, dass dadurch, dass sich die Türen da schließen, hast du
Mhm.
quasi fast ein abgeschlossenes
Eine Arena, ja.
eine Arena, ja, wo du deinen, ich sage jetzt mal, Kampf mit deinen Leuten machen
Mhm.
kannst, ohne jetzt von außen gestört zu werden, ne?
Mhm.
Genau, das ist etwas, wo ich sage, da haben sie dazugelernt, ja, das ist
Ja,
gut, ja.
besser umgesetzt
So
als bei
zukünftig,
dem Valaka, richtig.
weil, Bosskämpfe generell, ja, sollten immer in einem abgesicherten Modus unter Anführungszeichen stattfinden, weil, ja, da kannst du dich halt wirklich auf den Kampf, konzentrieren und
Mhm. Na, ich finde es gut, dass sie den Spagat hinbekommen haben, das
mhm.
nicht direkt zu instanzieren, aber trotzdem irgendwie 'nen Safe Space in dem Moment zu schaffen, ja, so.
Ja.
Wobei gegen, Instanzen habe ich jetzt auch nix. Also, ich bin da jetzt nicht abgeneigt dagegen, muss ich auch, klar dazu sagen, ja. Auch wenn das
Ja,
nicht,
ja.
unbedingt jetzt, in der Community gern gehört wird, weil,
Mhm.
alles muss Open World sein, aber
Ich
gewisse, Gameplays, ja, sind halt instanziert besser umzusetzen.
Aber
Ja,
dieses alles
also
muss Open World sein, liegt halt daran, weil CIG damit groß posaunt, ne?
Warlord,
So,
ja.
und das finde ich auch vollkommen in Ordnung, aber ich finde halt eben, dass, wo sie jetzt hingehen, dass sie sagen, okay, es ist alles Open World, aber wir haben einen abgeschlossenen Raum. Finde ich eine
Mhm.
geile Sache, ganz ehrlich.
Aber, nur mal so ein kleiner Denkanstoß beziehungsweise eine Erinnerung, ja. Vor 1 Jahr oder vor 2 Jahren bei der CitizenCon haben sie ja auch gesagt, es wird in Zukunft auch, instanzierte Flottenschlachten geben, ja. Also
Ja,
sprich, wo man da in eigene Instanzen geschoben wird, ja.
natürlich.
Und, es muss ja nicht immer heißen, dass das so wie in WoW oder in andere so richtige abgekapselte, Bereiche sind, ja. Es kann ja auch einfach nur eine Phase sein, wo man reingeschoben wird, wo halt zu dem Zeitpunkt, wo man einen Kampf hat, ja, nicht mit anderen Spielern auf einen Server geschmissen wird und sobald der Kampf vorbei ist, wird man halt wieder hinübergefasst in die Open World, ja.
Mhm.
Also, ich finde die Entscheidung gar nicht einmal so schlecht, ja, wenn man genau drüber nachdenkt, ja.
Ja,
Also, da kann man sich auf den Kampf direkt konzentrieren.
bin ich voll bei dir. Ich finde nur für so eine kleine Sache wie einen Valaka oder einen Yomandi jetzt, wenn sie dafür schon eine Instanz brauchen nachher, dann
Mhm,
läuft an dem ganzen Konzept irgendwie ein bisschen was falsch. Weil für mich
das
sind
stimmt.
diese Instanzen von wegen sind schön und gut, gerade für große Flottenschlachten, die dann richtig Performance auch in der Dingens kosten können, kann man
Mhm,
das super instanzieren. Aber für sowas
mhm,
Kleines, da bin ich lieber dafür, dass man irgendwie in eine Höhle reingeht, wo nicht jeder dann reinkommt und sowas, von wegen, was
stimmt,
jetzt nicht
danke.
unbedingt, also wo du wirklich auch alles in eins durch hast, wo du dann
Mhm.
aber sagst, von wegen, okay, hier ist jetzt zu, da kommt nicht jeder rein. Ist aber keine separate Instanz unbedingt.
Aber stimmt, da hast du noch was angesprochen. Performance ist ja auch so eine Sache, ja. Also, du kannst, viel besser die ganzen Sachen performant rüberbringen, vor allem Flottenschlachten, wo's, zig, Großkampfschiffe gibt, ja.
Mhm.
Ist die Performance wesentlich besser, zu handhaben, als wie wenn du's in einer Open World hast, ja.
Richtig.
Also
Vor allen
und vor allem, du
Dingen,
kannst das skalieren, ja.
ja,
Wie viel, Server, beziehungsweise Serverkapazität brauchst du, um, was weiß ich, 100 Großkampfschiffe oder 50 Großkampfschiffe, performant, einzupflegen?
ja,
Das kannst du halt in der Open World nicht so leicht.
nee, richtig. Und vor allen Dingen Open World, da haben dann alle so ein bisschen das Problem mit diesen Performance dann, weil wenn irgendwo eine große Flottenschlacht ist, dann ist ja nicht nur dann da das, sondern dann hast du halt eben wirklich überall auch so ein bisschen die Performance-Probleme. Gerade wenn du dann in so Bereiche irgendwie, die ein bisschen näher an dieser Flottenschlacht dran sind, hinkommen willst, ne?
Mhm.
Also da finde ich diese Instanzen, da finde ich das notwendig bei sowas, definitiv. Aber für so einen Wurm oder eine Schlange, vielleicht auch später eine
Ja,
Riesenspinne, keine Ahnung was, ähm, da finde
das
ich,
muss nicht
das
sein, ja.
muss nicht sein. Also klar, ein abgeschlossener Raum, definitiv, aber so, dass man quasi von oben durch ein Fenster reingucken könnte, wenn man das wollte, weißt du? Das finde ich so ein
Mhm.
bisschen schon irgendwie geiler.
Dass man sich nicht komplett, abgekapselt fühlt.
Genau, richtig, ne?
Ja, also, ich muss ehrlich sagen, der Yamandi, da haben sie einen richtig guten Spagat
Genau,
hinbekommen.
sehe
Ich
ich auch so.
hoffe, es haltet, was verspricht. Selbst, ausgetestet habe ich's noch nicht,
Ja, ich auch noch
aber
nicht,
ja,
ne.
bleibt ja sowieso permanenter Content, also von daher rennt uns nix davon.
Ne,
Ne,
eben.
natürlich nicht. Und was ich auch schön finde, ist, du hast halt 2, ne? Und die Dynamik, die ich gesehen habe im Video, wo Leute gegen den gekämpft haben, ist schon ganz cool, weil du musst halt immer wieder Schutz suchen. Der
Mhm.
Schutz kann aber auch flöten gehen quasi,
Ja,
ne?
da sieht man so ein
Und,
bisschen dieses, wie heißt das noch?
Malstrom.
Malstrom. Da sind sie so ein
Abwechslung.
bisschen drauf, dass da auch schon Probleme mit reinkommen bei solchen Sachen, ne? Ist geil.
Mhm.
Und
Entschuldigung.
das finde ich super. Musst du nicht
Ja,
entschuldigen.
Ach doch, da muss
ist
ich
ja
jetzt
auch
einfach
so,
zwischengrätschen, weil ich das so ein bisschen feier gerade, dass sie das schon anfangen, bei solchen Sachen auch mit reinzubringen.
ja,
Mhm.
das ist ja auch so etwas, wo ich sagen muss, da sieht man, ja, dieser, Yamande, ja, ist ja nicht nur einfach ein Bosskampf, sondern man sieht halt auch, dass sie da wieder kleine Technologien testen,
Mhm.
eben, Malstrom, ja, was
Ja,
vielleicht
genau.
nicht jetzt so offensichtlich ist. Das sind halt alles Test Ballons, was sie da starten, ne? Also,
Richtig.
Ja.
es geht nicht um 'n Kampf allein, sondern was kann man da an Technologie rein, tun, ja, um es zu
Mhm.
testen, ne?
Mhm.
Weil das ist das erste Mal, dass wir wirklich Malstrom zu Gesicht bekommen, ne, wenn man
Ja,
so
richtig, genau.
drüber nachdenkt.
Ja.
Und das haben,
Ja.
haben wir ja auch gerade bei ganz vielen Sachen so, wo wir jetzt sagen, von wegen, okay, es ist jetzt auf einmal ausgestorbener Content, der gar nicht mehr benutzt wird, aber das sind teilweise
Ja,
halt auch einfach Tests, die sie machen für späteren Content, den sie bringen wollen, ne? Das habe ich auch zuerst so ein
ja,
bisschen vielleicht missverstanden, weil manche Sachen sind einfach so, da denkst du dir, warum haben sie das überhaupt reingebracht? Das ist jetzt komplett tot.
mhm,
Ja, mag sein, aber dadurch haben sie auch ihren Test halt abgeschlossen, ne?
genau. Man muss halt immer 'n bisschen zwischen die Zeilen lesen oder dazwischen
Muss man
schauen.
bei muss man bei CIG sowieso immer wieder.
Ja.
Weil,
Ja.
viele Events, was wir dieses Jahr bekommen haben, haben nicht wirklich den Zweck, beziehungsweise ja, es hat schon den Zweck gehabt, uns zu bespaßen, ja. Aber wenn man genau hinschaut, ja, ist in jedem Event, was irgendwie dazukommen ist oder jede Mission, ja, auch irgendwo ein bisschen was, Testbares dabei gewesen. Allein
Ja.
schon, die Escort-Missionen, was wir jetzt vor 1 oder 2 Patches gekriegt haben, ne?
Mhm. Richtig.
Haben wir zum
Mhm.
Ja.
Beispiel die NPCs, getestet, von 'nem Hangar rausfliegen, ja,
Mhm.
eine Strecke hinter sich zu bringen und dann wieder in 'nem Hangar zu landen, ja.
Mhm.
Also, haben sie die NPCs getestet, um zu schauen, wie, funktionieren sie, ja. Das
Ja,
haben wir gar nicht so richtig mitbekommen, weil wir uns einfach nur auf diese Mission konzentriert haben, ja.
richtig.
Aber für CG war das wichtig, um zu sehen, ob die KI es schafft, selbstständig, Pfade, hinter
Mhm.
sich zu bekommen,
Mhm.
Richtig.
zum Beispiel.
Ne, na ja, oder auch die Tatsache, dass sie halt, versucht haben genau, „Morphy muss mal Luft holen“, sagt
Bingo,
der
ich habe
Pinguin.
genug Luft. Ich habe so viel Luft.
Nein, aber was mir noch so einfällt, ist, da auch dieses Emissions-Gameplay, ne? Dass wir hatten ja ganz früher mal, gesagt, wenn du mit 'nem Schiff hinter 'nem Asteroiden bist, ja, wirst du nicht gescannt werden. Kannst du nicht gescannt werden, weil macht ja keinen Sinn, weil der Asteroid viel größer ist als das Schiff dahinter, ja, so. Dass du jetzt quasi so Zonen hast in so Asteroiden, ne? Wo du so in so einer Emissionswolke bist, ne, wo die
Mhm.
dann wo deine Schiffsemission quasi, auf Null gefahren wird, ne, weil die drumherum, größer ist, ne?
Ja.
Mhm.
Genau.
Ja.
Ja,
Also ich finde, man merkt das in vielen Dingen, auch wenn man gerade so, also man nicht nur das, sondern man merkt auch, dass sie den Elevator, hier den Cargo Elevator extrem getestet haben durch die Mission, die wir
Ja,
gekriegt haben. Und
ja,
jetzt hat er eine Funktion drin, wie er sich quasi selber reparieren kann. Ne?
genau, das ist
Also
auch wichtig.
wir haben uns alle drüber aufgeregt, dass das Ding scheiße ist und dass sie wussten, dass es scheiße ist und bla bla bla. Ja, sie wussten es, deswegen haben sie es ja gemacht, um es zu testen, um es zu reparieren
Genau,
und uns verfügbar zu machen.
genau.
PvE, Player
Und
versus
und sie haben's
Elevator.
Ja,
und sie haben's halt mit 'nem Reward versehen, weil sie
ja,
wussten, gibt's einen Reward, wird's gespielt.
richtig.
Hätten die kein Reward gehabt, dann hätte niemand wirklich so reingegrindet,
Ja.
ja?
Und ich
So.
will nicht sagen, dass ich mich davon ausnehme, von wegen, ne? Also ich weiß selber von wegen, dass ich auch drüber geflucht habe, warum sie die Scheiße jetzt machen und bla bla bla. Aber manchmal komme ich in dem Moment selber auch nicht drauf, von wegen, dass das auch einfach sein kann, um es zu reparieren. Ne?
ja, man
Das
muss
war
halt
ja
immer 'n bisschen in
das
sich gehen bei so was.
Mhm.
das war halt mein Grund, dann Abstand zu halten, ne, erst weil
Du magst
einfach gar
keine
nichts
reparierten Sachen,
funktioniert hat.
meinst du? Ach so.
Nein, aber weil's halt einfach gar nicht funktioniert hat bei mir.
Ja, ja, kann ich verstehen.
Und das hat mich halt einfach dann dieser Frust quasi,
Mhm.
das war halt für mich einfach dann,
Zu frustig,
na
ich
ja,
weiß.
ja,
Ja, ist halt
und
So
frustig.
Leute, die
war
letzten 4 Minuten sind angebrochen.
Ja, es sind aber noch 4.
Habe ich
Also,
doch grade gesagt, die letzten 4 Minuten, ja.
wer noch auf Toilette muss, jetzt.
Hat
Mhm.
keiner
Ja, ja.
Tempo.
Aber was erwartet ihr denn im Chat? Was hofft ihr, was wir heute sehen? Habt ihr da was? Oder denkt ihr euch von wegen, wir lassen einfach alles auf uns zukommen und mal schauen? Morpheus, hast du
Man
irgendwas,
kennt
was du erwartest? Oder?
Also, ich erwarte mal nix, ja. Also,
Das ist immer
Ich sage
gut.
mal so, 3 Stunden, wie ich ja schon öfters gesagt habe, sind für mich relativ kurz bemessen, ja.
Mhm.
Also, ich weiß nicht, wie viel, Infogehalt da wirklich jetzt rüberkommen wird, aber wenn CG es richtig gut verpackt hat, ohne viel, Zwischengeplänkel, kann da durchaus, das eine oder andere Interessante kommen, ne? Ich glaube aber nicht, dass es an die CitizenCon vom vorigen Jahr anreichen wird, weil die war ja halt wirklich, ziemlich gut.
Mhm. Ja, ja.
Ja, aber wir dürfen halt nicht vergessen, ne, Leute, wir haben Pyro noch nicht mal ein Jahr,
Ja,
ne?
ist so.
Heute vor einem Jahr, waren wir eine Woche vor der CitizenCon und gab's noch kein
Mhm.
Pyro, ne?
Ja,
Das
aber wenn
kam
sie ni
erst,
wenn sie keine Fahrt
ne?
aufnehmen, dann haben wir in 5 Jahren auch noch keine 1.0.
Ja,
Verstehst
ja,
du?
Schaut's aus,
absolut,
ja.
Ja.
absolut.
Weil,
Deswegen müssen sie irgendwie, aber das machen sie auch. Also, ich empfinde, seit 2 Jahren, haut CIG wirklich raus.
Ja,
Ja? Und, ne, man
ist so.
kommt manchmal ja nicht dazu, irgendwie 'n Spiel oder 'n Patch ordentlich zu spielen, weil dann kommt wieder PTU, dann kommt wieder der Evocati und so weiter und so
Mhm.
fort. Ja.
So, Pingu, was
so wie er
erwartest du? Ich muss mal eben 'n bisschen zwischengrätschen, weil wir haben nur noch
Äh,
2 Minuten und ich möchte jeden zu Wort kommen lassen.
Ich habe gar keine richtigen Erwartungen irgendwie, keine Ahnung.
Okay,
Also, ich
also
lasse einfach auf mich zukommen, so
mhm,
das
gute Idee. Und bei
Und
ich
dir,
ich
habe übrigens
Chris?
erwarte
noch was
neue
eingef
Träume ich erwarte
ich habe
neue
übrigens noch
Träumereien.
was eingefügt ins Overlay, ne?
Noch was?
Okay.
also, ich
Mhm.
ich muss ehrlich sagen, ich erwarte die Bano Merchantman, aber die kommt ja nicht.
Was erwarte ich?
Ah, geil, sehr geil.
Ich versuche mich nicht hypen zu lassen tatsächlich, ja, von den letzten Wochen. Was ich erwarte, ist natürlich wieder, schön gemachte Videos, ja,
Mhm.
die uns träumen lassen. So, aber ich hoffe ganz tief im Inneren, dass diese Videos, die wir sehen werden, auch wirklich das zeigen, was wir in der nächsten Zeit dann auch wirklich, spielen können, ja.
Mhm.
Wir haben Wetter reinbekommen, ja, dieses Jahr, auch wenn es jetzt, der Regen und so weiter, jetzt noch nicht so optisch, reinhaut, wie ich's, in dem Video letztes Jahr irgendwie gesehen habe. Aber wir haben, Wetter drinne und es ist genial, ja. Wir haben Schnee drinne, also Schneefall.
Mhm.
Das ist, genial, da freue ich mich drüber und, ja, wir haben den Wenn jetzt drinne, zumindest als Leiche. Mal
Ja.
gucken, was uns da, erwartet. Also, ich erwarte
Mhm.
auch Aliens und ich erwarte 'n Stück weit mehr von nix. So.
Mhm. Wir müssen mal gucken, von wegen, es kann sein, dass ich zwischendrin von dem Twitch-Stream auf YouTube-Stream umschwenke. Da muss ich mal gucken, von wegen, wo wir gleich einen Untertitel bekommen. Und bei YouTube ist halt eben 4K-Auflösung. Da schauen wir gleich mal zwischendrin. Also nicht wundern, wenn ich auf einmal auf YouTube umschwenke. Ne? Also den Stream von CRG, nicht meinen Stream.
Hallo Marco.
Vakuum, genau, jetzt
Warte.
Stromausfall. Zack, nix geht mehr.
So, Leute, jetzt sind wir mal kurz leise und
Genau,
drehen laut, ne?
richtig. Euch viel Spaß und uns auch. Wir sehen uns
Danke.
später.
Viel Spaß!
Wir hören uns später.
Das sowieso.
Ich kenne.
Has marked a turning point in Star Citizen's history. We have finally moved past the question of whether we can build an architecture to deliver a universe with incredible detail at massive scale, seamlessly, and where thousands of people can all play together. Server meshing has been working pretty much flawlessly at scale for the past 9 months. It has brought a more populated and active verse with up to 700 players online and in the same space at once. It's greatly increased server performance and delivered a much more responsive player experience. I couldn't be prouder of the team. They delivered something no other online game does presently. There may be other games out there that claim large player counts, or even the ability to mesh, but none do it at our detail, scale, and seamlessness. Of course, there will be continued improvements to server meshing and to Star Engine, but having moved past this last big technological hurdle has allowed us to finally focus on quality of life and stability improvements, something that has long been overdue. We're about to deliver our 9th patch in 10 months, with content that has brought Star Citizen storytelling into new and exciting directions. We pushed more than 24 features and more than 2,000 bug fixes. And while there is still a long way to go, the game has gotten more stable, performant, and fun as a result. We see this in player metrics. More of you play every day. The daily average users is up 45% from last year, and your play time is up 15%. So more people venture out into the verse and stay there longer than ever before. And through all that, we've told the dual stories of the Frontier Fighters Assault on Pyro and the moral compromises being made to combat the regen crisis. Now, as those stories come to a rest for the time being, it's time to look forward to the next chapter of Star Citizen, where the instability in Pyro and the callous actions of some pave the way to new adventures, new locations, and new threats. Last year, we announced our next star system would be Nyx, home to the People's Alliance of Levski and bordering the Vandal threat. Today, we're proud to share that your adventures in Nyx begin not next year, but next month, when Star Citizen's third system comes
Was?
online in our
War das
fourth
gerade
month.
Nyx nächstes Jahr?
2 new
Nächsten
systems
Monat?
in 1 year. That's only possible because of the tireless work of our development teams, server meshing accelerating what's possible, the support teams behind the scenes, and most importantly, all of you.
1:0.
Now, I do miss that we're not all
Habe ich
together under one roof
richtig
this
verstanden
year.
gerade?
But
Ja.
in many ways, we're more connected
schon, ja.
than ever.
Hast du.
Across the globe, many of you are gathering at watch parties, 9 of them with our developers in
Ja.
attendance.
Warum
and
ist dieses
countless
scheiß
others
Werbungsding
springing
jetzt noch
up
da?
in communities everywhere, and all happening simultaneously today. So even if we're separated by oceans and continents, we're bound together by the same passion for space, for discovery, and for this incredible universe we're building together. Whether you're at home or alongside your crew at a watch party, grab a drink, sit back, and let us take you inside our up-and-coming plans for the next year of Star Citizen.
Junge, ist das geil.
Er hat gerade gesagt, nix kommt nächstes Jahr, aber nächsten Monat, oder?
Nicht nächstes Jahr,
Also,
aber nächsten Monat, ja. Das
nicht-
war seine Aussage.
Genau, nicht nächstes Jahr, aber nächsten Monat. Alter.
Aber du, Chris,
Nee, ich will nicht hören von dir jetzt. Ich will nicht hören.
Ruhe jetzt.
geil. Fand das schon gut an.
So, jetzt kann ich aufhören. Jetzt habe ich halt gesehen.
With the foundational technology now in place, the content development of the game is no longer restricted, allowing us to forge ahead with building out our first 5-star systems. Nyx will see the much-loved Levski landing zone added back to the verse, while also bringing you one of its most iconic landmarks, the Glacian Belt. Here, you'll experience a new combined arms operation that will introduce new factions and new adventures for you to discover. With this edition of our 3rd star system, we're also going to do something that's at the heart of the entire Star Citizen experience, and that is to build it right in front of you. As we have done this year, with the addition of several major locations, such as the Hathor facility or the Lazarus complex, we will continue to unveil new Nyx content throughout the year. It's a slightly different approach to how we deliver Pyro, but we feel this gets the content into your hands sooner and shows our intent as we continue our march towards 1.0. I'm so incredibly proud of the work our teams have done and are continuing to do, and we're excited to have you on this next step of our journey. And as with any journey in Star Citizen, that begins with a little story.
Ja, kannst ja nur bergauf gehen jetzt, ne?
Absolut.
Also das, was er gesagt hat, also auch so, was Dings schon gesagt hat hier, CR, ne? Unterstreiche ich zu 100%.
Ist so.
The first was Pyro Must Burn. It connected Stanton to Pyro and introduced the Frontier Fighters, who are relentless, brutal, and determined to wipe out any threats that cross them. And with this month's release, you'll now take part in the conclusion to that storyline. The second was Science Run Amok, with the regen crisis throwing the Empire into chaos, and you all jumping in to help the various corporations respond. Through that journey, we pulled back the curtain on ASD and its shady practices, uncovering long-forgotten Onyx facilities, and met new characters like Dr. Logan Yorit and Detective Arkham Meller of the Hokro Agency. And just like the Pyro Must Burn storyline carried us into a new system, Science Run Amok is now setting the stage for Nyx, the next step in the larger story we're telling on the road to 1.0. As this new chapter of Stoicism begins, let's hear from just a few of the team members working to bring this next era of our universe to life.
When the Nix system was first discovered, the United Empire of Earth, the UAE, came out and did scans and kind of found out that the system wasn't really reset. I mean, the planets were too hard to terraform, the
Skybox
resources
geil
were
aus.
too tough to get, so they opened it up.
Aber richtig gut.
And one company saw opportunity where the UAE didn't, QV Planet Services. And so they
Ein Monat noch.
expanded into the system and tried to mine
Sehr,
as
sehr
much as they
geiler
could
Typ, der da
with a
gerade
very
spricht.
slim margin by the sheer quantity of resources they were pulling out.
Aber ich hoffe, dass auch der Sprung durch das Gate länger dauert als zu Pyro dann, ne? Weil es ja weiter entfernt.
And then was mostly left abandoned.
Now this ended up being the ideal situation for the People's Alliance, who were a group of revolutionaries who were trying to overthrow the dictatorship of the Messer regime that was going on in the empire at the time.
So they went to the Nix system and established what became known as Levski. They wanted to make it everything that the UEE wasn't at this time.
They set up what they saw as their ideal society, where everyone's voices would be heard, where everyone would be equal. But they've fallen onto hard times. So Nix today is kind of at an interesting point in its history.
Welcome to
Now that
Levski.
the UEE has kind of transformed itself into a democratic society, what is their role? What are the People's Alliance rebelling against? And they still see the empire as being inherently unfair. They see their role as still trying to create a free and fair society. But on the other hand, they have more problems than ever. And there's new threats lurking around every corner. And they have to ask, are they prepared to handle that? Or do they need to turn to the UAE for help?
Making a Star System. Ja. Schade, dass keine Untertitel da sind.
Ja, so schwer ist das Englisch bisher noch nicht.
Nee, zum Glück nicht.
What is this system bringing to the gallery? How does this new system plug into it, and what does it bring to the table from a sort of a flavor experience? We want to make sure that whatever it's bringing to the company is unique and has some flair to it.
So the Nix system is a remote system.
Geilstes Schiff übrigens.
Free outside of the
Ja, geht so.
pressure and influence of the UEE. It's a remote and rugged system with a lot of hostility coming from the ever-present threat of Vandal.
It's kind of like a frontier-esque thing. It's not lawless like Pyro, it's just kind of out there. Pyro's more like a Mad Max wasteland, and Nix is more like Silverado or like Deadwood, right? It's kind of like a smaller scope.
The emptiness and the loneliness is the defining factor. You're still going to find gangs, you're still going to find hostile presences, but it's where people go if they want to live off the grid.
The People's Alliance is the main peacekeeping force in Nix.
They were unhappy with the direction that the empire was going under the Messers. They got out. They said, we're just going to start from scratch, build our own society, but build it the way that we think it needs to be built.
They're not perfect. They're just people, but they're doing their best.
Sind mir schon mal sehr sympathisch, die Jungs.
Nix safe and make it prosperous.
Auf jeden Fall.
They are trying to do the best that they can, but are faced with the realities of dealing with people, which is tricky.
The Pyro Star is quite a warm star. Stanton Star is quite neutral. And the Nix is a little bit cooler.
Erik?
The system
Video ist
is
ziemlich
a
alt.
star, and it has this dark, really dense gas, sort of nebulous cloud. And it has points of light scattered around it, and those points of light in this gas cloud is really hazy. So because Nix is bordering Vandal space, it was important that we have a gap in the Nix gas cloud where you could sort of just, in between the clouds, see a piece of the Vandal space. It feels so close that it's even like protruding some red light.
Vendors.
The level designers are using it as an actual visual indicator of where to place more dangerous POIs. So if you point your ship in the direction of it, you should find, as we build it out, that you will be in more and more danger. And I think that's really cool.
Diesen roten Fleck hatten wir in der alten
To give
Skybox von
more
Stanton.
atmosphere, I was testing out adding some sort of space snowflakes, essentially. So when you look towards the sun, you can sort of see that sort of like sparkle. But
Ja,
then
da
when you
könnt
look
ihr mir als Zuschauer
away
mal eben
from the
sagen,
sun,
von wegen, ob sich,
you'll
wenn
see
ich
the
den Kopfhörer lauter
reflections,
drehe, dann
some
auch
little glints of
das im
light.
Hintergrund lauter dreht. Aber wahrscheinlich schon, ja. Muss ich das mal anders
For the
mixen
jump
sonst.
points in Nyx, we'll have 2 on this release. We'll have one from Pyro to Nyx and one from Stanton to Nyx. It should be going from Nyx to Castra, but we're essentially bypassing Castra temporarily.
Hey, we want to make sure you can get there any way you want.
Ist es denn jetzt lauter geworden, das Video, wenn ich wenn ich das so lauter drehe?
Is a huge asteroid belt that is in sort of the middle of the system.
The Glacian belt is a combination of a bunch of
Nein,
technologies that
schade.
we already had. The asteroid fields we use for
Kannst du
planetary
uns nicht
rings and
als
the gas clouds. And
Discord
it's
ein
combining them
bisschen
to make
leiser drehen?
something completely new that we've just not seen before.
Den gucke ich gerade.
It's full
Das macht keinen
of
Unterschied.
resources that are
Aber
still
ich habe jetzt mal den
left
Discord ein
unharvested
bisschen auf
because
25%
it's kind
gesetzt.
of a
Vielleicht hilft das
tricky
ja.
spot for mining. It's not the easiest place to go, but that means that there's still a lot of opportunity for independent miners to go out there.
So the rocks in Nyx are a bit more sharp.
Ich freue mich schon
sorts
auf
of
die
like
Mining-Ausflüge mit dem
icy,
Chris und nix.
rocky, cliff-like, very different from those in the Pyro and the Stanton.
One of the big differences too is all of that extra added movement that just adds a little bit of extra flair.
It's also a good hiding spot for people who are trying to elude capture, maybe set up ambushes, that type of stuff.
Icy look, rocky, always
Es
feel
ist
way more
leider
interesting
sehr leise
flying in
alles,
those
das ist das
spaces
Problem.
than just, through empty void.
And as we build out the Glacian build over the next year, lots of places to put new content.
Delamar is a very large asteroid in the Glacian belt that QV Planet Services had built.
Ihr seid immer noch lauter als
mining
das Video.
base on
Aber
that got
sind
taken
sie denn
over
jetzt schon
by
leiser
the People's
geworden,
Alliance
oder?
and renamed Levski.
Ich bin da nicht so ganz drauf eingestellt. Das Problem ist, dass das sehr leise übertragen wird.
Levski is our first and biggest social outpost for Nyx.
It's kind of like the place where you stop before you do your panning. So it's kind of a San Francisco before you go out to the gold rush.
It's going to be the central hub for trade and hauling and all of the commerce within Nyx and also from Nyx to other systems. But it does have a CD underlayer to it.
Over the years, you're sort of improving the generation method of those asteroids to culminate towards this specific point to make large, explorable location.
Ja, wenigstens für einen. Ich habe jetzt mal das Mikro ein bisschen weiter weggemacht und so und ein bisschen umgestellt. Mal gucken, ich hoffe, es passt so ein bisschen.
Scattered small, mid-sized pieces of the asteroids.
Well, Levski is immediately apparently unique by the fact that it's a facility clamped onto the side of an asteroid. The breathtaking views of looking into the belt instantly gives it a unique charm and flavor.
As you approach, you'll initially see a very dramatic borehole that goes all the way through the asteroid. You will also see, growing out from there and alongside Levski, there will be landing pads along what I'd call the spine. Lots of industrial pipes and transport systems to bring out the refined mining materials when it was a mining station.
Das ist geil, ey.
Before we were using an actual planet, so we had all of the space available to place all of these structures. But now it kind of meant that we had to create an asteroid which has the appropriate size to.
If we took the whole shot of the asteroid, you will see that there is an area to fly underneath. We plan on bringing in hull C gameplay, so this is exterior cargo elevators, so as a team you will be able to load and unload cargo.
There's a lot more movement on the exterior. such as the cargo trains going around tracks. It's now going to be fully EVA-able. There will be walkways around the main landing zone to walk on using gravity plates, but you can drift off and kind of go wherever you want. They can explore fully the whole place, which is great.
Ob es dort immer noch die Prinz Charmin Securities gibt?
Unlike the
Gute
majority
Frage.
of anarchists living in Pyro, there are people here in Nyx that care.
It's not a downtrodden or derelict, dilapidated location. It has a sense of order.
But only where the People's Alliance has people living.
But we've had Levski before, and we've updated it quite substantially to be more in line with the newer features that have been put in since, but also visually, and there's been a lot of quality of life fixes that we've wanted to add and bring up to like a good standard for a landing zone.
Gracing the main lobby of Levski is a large statue of Anthony Tanaka, who was a child worker.
And was being worked to death, all of them were. And Anthony Tanaka just had a break and just said no, and stood up against the foremen, the supervisors, the managers, the guards, and was killed for it. And so he became a sort of a figurehead.
And kind of was one of the linchpin moments in seeing the fall of the Messer regime.
Siehst du, da kommt auch wieder die Lore mit dem Messer.
So if you take the elevator up to the top deck, you'll see the top view and the cargo area as well. So you can go through the cargo shop. You've got your normal kind of cargo needs. You'll have ability to trade and buy your tractor beam and other gear that you need. So if you were to die in the Nyx system, then one of the places you might come out from is the hospital in Levski, which is called the Mercy Hospital.
So Mercy Hospital is just basically, it's a local med station for all the residents of Levski, anybody traveling through the system. Again, they're trying to provide as good medical help for people as they can.
When you arrive at the Habs location, you'll be presented with a lobby, elevator bank, and then you will take that transit to the Hab room. So within that room will be pods.
And that's where the original miners would have lived.
Alte Erinnerung.
They're not the nicest, and they're a bit messy, but they're a home for people in Levski. If you head down to the lower view deck, you'll go through into the Grand Barter, which is your main social and commercial area of Levski.
This is where you will see market sellers selling their wares. There will be stalls, there will be kind of more embedded shops.
Schön, dass Sie vieles davon behalten haben.
And that includes things like Corderies, which is your armor shop, and also conscientious objects, which is for weapons. There's also one of my favorite places, Café Musée, which is where you can go down into some of the more rocky depths and grab yourself a drink, and you never know who you meet down there. If you explore a bit more around the Grand Barter, there's other routes around and little side passages. There's another shop that's away from that area called Teachers.
Teach's Ship Shop is basically where you would go if you were looking to pick up a used ship, buy some ship parts, fix up your old ship, find some new stuff, sell some scrap.
We've closed up Dumpers Depot for Levski, and everything that used to be sold there will now be sold at Teachers.
Origus, vielen Dank für dein
Another
Prime
new
Abo.
area, as well as the cargo shop that we've added, is the refinery deck for Levski. That's where you can take your processed goods, not just from Levski, but from the rest of the Nyx system, and refine and sell those goods there. As a lot of the content in the next coming releases for Nyx is going to be mining related. So it's super important that Levski is a really nice hub for mining type of gameplay. So we're really happy to bring Levski back into the game. It's been gone for quite a few years now.
I think it really provided a unique environment of it's run down, but the people who live there love it and are working their hardest to make it a great place to live.
This is a location that has a lot of nostalgia for you guys, and
We don't want this just to be a re-release. We do want you to go, wow.
It's not going to be as complete as Pyro was it first came out, but it's going to be our first iteration, and you're going to be able to see it grow as we work on it.
Like with everything, we're always learning and improving and finding new ways.
I mean, is there anything more Star Citizen than just building the system while the players watch us build it around them?
Going to add a nice dynamic to Stanton and be a much more calming of, style system than Pyro.
The people that would have played it before are going to love to see this come back, and the people that haven't seen it before, it's going to be a great new location.
This is the first time that I'm going to be able to touch stuff and kind of bring my own content to the game, and that's really exciting to me.
Levski coming back into the game is a huge milestone personally for me. So I worked on the original.
Oh ja, das wird richtig geil.
So seeing it come back and updated and improved and better is fantastic.
Jedes weitere Sternensystem wird endgeil.
Ist so.
Nur besser werden.
Ist so.
CG wird schon besser
So, Chat, jetzt sagt mir aber noch mal eben kurz, von wegen ist das mit der Lautstärke jetzt ein bisschen besser geworden. Ich habe noch mal geguckt, ob ich was hochdrehen kann hier.
Man hört dich ein
So
bisschen
we talked about Levski, we talked about the Glacian Belt, but you're probably asking yourself, what's the new gameplay activity we're going to be doing? So let's find out.
Welcome to Nyx is your first experience in a new space station in a new solar system.
It's a mystery to be solved. There's things for the player to explore and look into. There's going to be some twists and turns, of course, some combat, and if you're lucky enough to survive, maybe some good rewards.
This is basically a continuation of kind of our ASD storyline. So in the closing out what we had called our Science Run Amok storyline, we had revealed that ASD had been procuring sort of very black market illegal stuff in order to conduct their experiments. So this mission is basically going to be continuing on that trail.
So the Navy has learned that illegal tech is being sold in the UAE, and they're hiring Intersect to investigate. Intersect Defense Solutions is the leading military defense contractor in the UAE. So the Navy contracts with them a lot for doing various kind of military operations that they don't want to handle themselves. We didn't want players to be working directly for the Navy. The Navy just doesn't call up random citizens and ask like, hey, if you're free, can you fly a helicopter? I guess as a player, when you can think about like, oh, where am I going to be doing missions that are capital ship battles or large fleet scale stuff or military operations, that's all going to come from Intersect Defense Solutions. Intersect have discovered the source of the illegal tech is in the Nyx system and an old abandoned QV Planet Services logistics station that's come back online.
So they want the players to figure out what's going on.
So when you come out of Quantum and you start your approach vector to the objective, you'll be weaving through asteroids, going through the Glacian Belt, and slowly the station will reveal itself. Now this is an old QV logistics station. It's pretty beat up, it's pretty derelict, but there's some points of interest that you'll spot as you go through. So the station itself shares design cues from old Pan Am stations found in Pyro. This architectural design found its way over to the Nyx system as the system was being established, but you'll also see some additional design cues that QV planetary services were adding, so it's a nice transition architectural point. It's fairly skeletal in design. You'll see logistics yards and cargo yards, but also facilities pinned inside the asteroid, creating this network of facilities. You'll notice there's a Polaris near the main hub. It's not a normal Polaris. It's damaged, it's broken. It's not a standard corporate Polaris. So at this point, you should be asking yourself, who does this belong to? Away from the Polaris, you'll see struts leading to asteroid bases. Now, these asteroid bases are locked, so you don't know exactly what's inside just yet. But all of this comes together to form the playground for the mission to take place. So not only is this facility unabandoned, but it's also under attack from a surprising but familiar foe.
Jawohl.
Ja, geil. Was ist das?
first time in the PU, the Vandal.
Alter, ist das geil, Mann. Oh, nice.
So the Vandal are a nomadic, very, very, very violent spacefaring race.
They've been striking out against outposts and such in the Nyx system. They don't really know what they want, don't know why they're doing it, but it seems like whoever's running the station is really pissed them off.
Vandal raiding parties have been arriving in the system, and they're unaffiliated to any clan. There's small groups coming in and picking at them. But as time goes on, those raids are getting bigger and more frequent.
There'll be the scythes that you're familiar with, glaives and blades that we all know and hate, and a new craft for the PU, the Vandal Stinger.
Stinger!
You will be contacted by some civilians on arrival asking you for help.
So at this point, you have a choice. You can either bug out, mission over, or join the fight. This will be the first time since the PU launched that you'll be able to fight against Vandal aggressor ships.
This fight will be intense. The player should be able to deal with them, but they will have to be prepared and they'll have to come back in to fight off this initial wave, and that won't be the end of it.
After you fight off the Vandal ships, the mysterious inhabitants of the station invite you to come on board.
Which InSec sort of will encourage you to do because it'll help further their investigation against what's happening here, why these QB stations have come back online.
You dock your ship, you board the station, and it turns out the inhabitants here have a real surprise for you.
The player will be immediately ambushed. These guys are not your friends.
Of course, it's not going to be easy because the people that are inhabiting the station are going to fight you every step of the way.
The fight will be challenging, but this definitely will be the warm-up phase of this mission. This will be the players getting a sense of what exactly is going on there, who these new people are. They'll be in unfamiliar armor. They'll be wielding unfamiliar weapons. And we want you to get a sense that you are in a new place, in a new territory, fighting a new faction.
So after you survive this initial ambush, you get back in touch with InSec, and obviously the question is, who are these people? Why are they attacking? Why are the Vandal attacking them?
At this point, there's more going on here than anyone thought. The director from InSec is to
leid, die brauche ich
explore
selber
the
grad.
station and collect as much information as you possibly can.
Along the way, you're going to get to
Aber
explore
interessant
some
ist
new
das mit der Stinger.
areas.
It's not just the space station. There's the disabled capital ship. There's asteroid bases
Übrigens, ist
nearby
euch
with
aufgefallen,
obvious
die Stinger ist
installations
das neue
there,
Vandal
other
Design.
forces that the Vandal have been
Ja.
attacking.
Ja, stimmt.
There's a debris field.
Explore the locations in any
Und
order
mehr
you
sage ich dabei
want
noch
and
nicht.
try to find out who these people are and why the Vandal are after them.
You'll find new clues. You'll find ways to solve the puzzle of what's going on at the space station and find out what kind of loot they have for you now that you beat them.
And of course, this is a legally open station, so anything you find is yours to keep and sell, maybe even give to Wicklow. This isn't just a one-time event, this is a permanent sort of mission that we're going to be adding to the game.
You can go
Oh,
back
schön.
and repeat this mission and find ways to do it even better, even faster.
There'll be a different story and different flavor. Obviously, we can't have the same thing happen every time. There'll be other missions that InSec will offer to you
Hab ich Glück gehört? Ja,
based on
Glückwunsch.
the
Das hast
evidence
du
that you
gehört.
found.
Now you know the real story and you can start digging and giving more information to
Lies ist
InSec
sicher schon
along
ganz
the way.
nass bei dem
Ja,
Wort.
ich sag dazu jetzt nichts. Ich bin ein bisschen gehypt.
Genau.
Du wolltest ihn nicht hypen lassen.
Ja. Ah, die Stinger.
I'm super
Oh,
excited to finally see
haben
the
will,
Vandal,
haben
the
will.
PU.
I'm excited to bring cool Vandal ship combat to
Schaut die
SC.
geil aus.
Players in the PU will now get to face down these awesome ships and
die
get
haben.
a taste of like we already have it in Arena Commander where you get to fight the Vandal swarm, and being able to do that in the PU is going to be, I think, a heck of a lot of fun.
So this marks a great milestone for us for not only pushing hard and adding great content this year, we're also being able to introduce the next star system and introducing the next landscape to tell new stories and add new gameplay beats into the ever-expanding universe. So we'll leave 4.4 there, If you're at one of the watch parties, please raise a toast to the great work that all the teams have been doing this year. And I'll be right back in just a few minutes to look ahead at some of the things coming in 2026.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Voyager Bar in beautiful scenic Oregon, where the staff of Cloud Imperium Games Manchester is gathered for their very own CitizenCon Direct watch party. As the dozens of such events happening at locations around the world, we've gathered today to watch this sneak peek at just a little of what the next year of Star Citizen has in store for everyone. Oh, that was really good, everybody. I'm Jared Huckabee, your host for the festivities and for the show today. And let me tell you, it's not a joke. It's not a gag. Next week, we're hitting our 9th patch in 10 months. And then in November, we're going to finish out the year strong with the long-awaited arrival of the Nix system. And in case you missed it, because you were chatting with friends,
in November.
it's not the lawless
Oh,
wasteland of Pyro. Many folks
muss
have
mir eine
been
rote Grütze holen. Ich bin gleich wieder da.
independent system with its own set of rules and laws and multiple ways to get there. It's an exciting time for everyone at Cloud Imperium Games because, as the architects of our persistent universe said at the start of the show, the foundational tech that we've been building for so many years has now unlocked us to bring more to Star Citizen than ever before as we continue our journey towards 1.0. Now, before we continue with the show, let's get a few housekeeping tasks out of the way. First, we're simulcast on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want the keen communities of Twitch or the 4K ultra high resolution of YouTube, you have your choice. Second, throughout the broadcast today, we want to see and hear what you have to say along the way, and you can tell us on social media by using hashtag CitizenCon. We're especially interested to see any photos from those watch parties that are happening across the globe, and we're going to find some way to bring a few of them into the broadcast later in the program. Third, we've also had a CitizenCon contest going for people to create their very own slice of life in the PU videos, and we played the winning entries during our pre-show countdown. The offerings were super varied. The idea was to work with the team to show the life of a miner or a hauler or a bounty hunter or whatever. But one guy just said, I'm going to make a video about...
Aber Chat, dann sag mir doch mal eben bitte, ist es jetzt besser geworden mit mit der Lautstärke zwischen Chat zwischen Discord und dem Video? Weil ich habe jetzt noch mal ein paar Einstellungen gemacht. Ich hoffe, das passt jetzt besser. Dass wir ein bisschen lauter sind als das Video ist okay, damit wir drüber sprechen können. Sonst müsste ich jedes Mal muten, wenn wir was sagen. Beides gut bei mir. Nice. Sehr gut, Modway, danke. Nice. Sehr schön, dann hat das ja funktioniert. Ich danke euch.
Either way, if you missed the pre-show and are curious if you won, you can check the replay after we're done here today. All right. I just realized that my bosses, Chris and Sandy, are sitting in a movie theater watch party in Switzerland right now. A completely captive audience.
Ach ja, unser lieber
It's real behind the scenes here. This is especially torturous for Chris right now because he's super excited about the next segment we've got coming up. Aren't you, Chris?
Sehr gerne, Kroschwönig.
And you're just sat there right now, forced to watch and listen to anything I say. Do either of you regret that decision so long ago? All right, so I've probably pushed my luck enough. Let's get to the next thing. When Nix arrives next month, it'll have Levski, the Glacium Belt, and the new Welcome to Nix operation we just discussed. But throughout 2026, we'll also continue to build the Star System out with new features and new technologies that will not only set Nix apart and give it a unique identity from its sibling Star Systems, but continue to set Star Citizen apart from other video games altogether. Now, at this point, if you're running one of the watch parties, you're going to want to crank your speakers up for some brand new music from the maestro Pedro himself. And let's take a look at some of what the next year has to offer for the Nix system.
Geben uns sogar Zeit, Battlefield zu testen jetzt in dem Monat. Wir haben mitgedacht.
Wird daran liegen.
Bestimmt.
At Cloud Imperium Games, we believe art inspires the best technology. And through the development of that technology, it pushes us to create even better art. When Genesis comes to the persistent universe starting next year, it will change how you experience every world. And not just in the building of the new planets for the Nix system. We will also go back through Stanton and Pyro and reimagine them through the lens of our technology. Previously, and more traditionally, we'd create slices of biomes, like deserts or forests. This approach moved us forwards and got us this far, but solving the scale was always tricky. And for Star Citizen, we like to do scale on another level. Issues like seeing tiling from our height maps from high altitude, or the unpredictable blending when two biomes connected, were common. But ultimately, things just never felt right. Our worlds were gorgeous, but to us, they still sometimes felt like interpretations. Now, this was a super hard problem, which we needed to solve at the scale the Star Citizen requires. We challenged ourselves to emulate nature in the most believable way, and not just on a planetary scale, but to our level of detail. With Genesis, we've made a complete paradigm shift to how we do things.
Noch hast nix verpasst, ne?
Biomes are now created based on the physical data sets, with the assets being spawned whenever and wherever the correct criteria is found. So when you see a forest or a meadow, it's no longer because an artist painstakingly crafted it there. It's now because it simply wants to be there. It fits inside our rules. Genesis also ties into our other gameplay systems. Our new planets are built from the information we create for our different datasets, like height maps, humidity, temperature, soil type, soil amounts, geology erosion data, to name but a few.
Ist das schön.
This means you can now tell where to find valuable minerals
wieder mal das nächste Wallpaper Creation Mode,
be suitable for it.
TG, ihr seid so...
Where scree piles exist below sheer cliff
Jetzt
faces,
sitzt mal wieder mit nassen Hosen da.
and where rocks have broken off over time due to erosion.
Genau, sieht ein bisschen auch nach Terra aus, aber das jetzt nicht mehr.
Still give us the ability to direct the
Schaut
look
das
and
geil
feel
aus.
we want. The
Oh,
attention to detail from the
Alienpflanzen.
tallest mountain to the smallest flower is still our core DNA. With Genesis, we can now keep
Sie
that
haben uns wieder Träume
detail-orientated
reingegeben.
mindset as we focus on the quality, and
Jack
it
hatte recht.
provides the quantity.
Die nächsten Träume rein.
Genesis provides our planets with the ultimate sense of exploration and adventure. Discovery in the purest emotional form. We want you to find that perfect place, with the planets providing an abundant resource to harvest. This is a major part of what exploration is for us. We want that feeling of finding a corner of the universe that you'll fall in love with, and where
Richtig
you want to
Gänsehaut.
settle down, build your home.
Build your home, ja.
Now I'm going to hand you over to Will to go deeper into what we have built
Watercooler.
that allows Genesis to realize.
Hi, d'accord.
As a reminder, some of the visuals you'll see will evolve
So
and
dichte
change
Wälder.
as we
So
continue
richtig
our
schön.
technological development
Richtig realistisch.
and hone in on the final look for Nyx.
Man kann nur hoffen, dass es auch so kommt. Nicht wie bei New Babbage, dass die ganzen Bäume raus
So,
sind.
in case it's not already clear,
Nee,
Genesis
ich
is
glaube
our
Ihnen das
name
schon,
for a
die
group of
werden immer besser
technologies
damit.
that are improving
Genesis
our
ist ja noch
ability
nicht
to build
richtig da.
worlds,
Ja, stimmt.
finding those that we've already created, and ultimately expanding our persistent
Wir haben
universe
noch
to
immer
the scale and
Planet Tech 4.
quality that we all expect. I work on Planet Tech, so let's talk about how that's continued to evolve since our presentation last year. And instead of just highlighting some really cool biomes that we can create, let's go ahead and show how all this work applies to the upcoming planets of Nyx. So there are 3 planets in Nyx. Nyx 3 is a gas giant, and I think it's blue. It's not going to surface. I don't really know. Nyx 2 is a yellow, toxic. It's got like this high pressure atmosphere, and it's like a very volatile planet with high risk reward gameplay. It's going to have some really interesting biomes for you to discover, but for now, just know it's going to be dangerous, because today we're going to focus on what we consider to be the hero planet of this system. Nyx 1 has got a rugged, remote beauty. It's got a diverse set of biomes, from weathered rocky mountain ranges to vast sweeping forests and grasslands. and from damp, expansive wetlands to claustrophobic.
Wir reden gerade von Nyx 1, haben die gerade gesagt, ne?
Ja.
These core biome concepts give us a fantastic platform to hone our technology.
Sümpfe,
In some
genau, das sind
cases,
die
because
Sümpfe.
the current tech couldn't do them at all, or because we want to completely step up our game for them. So, let's approach this planet in much the same way that you, the player, will, from orbit. The orbit appearance of the planets going forward is far more tied to what is present on the surface. Previously, we had different data that drove the orbital and ground coloring. That's because the orbit was designed to look like vegetation that we'd place on the surface, and the ground coloring was trying to be a mix of soil, rock, and the organic compound coloring that forms the kind of colors there. Now we author much more of the data in a unified way. When you look at Earth, you see blues and greens for ocean and vegetation, and brown or yellowy tones for sand and soil. We wanted to keep it as simple as that. The same set of textures and data that define the color of the soil, sand, and rock on the ground are used to create the orbital look. We then assess the presence of vegetation and competition between different species on each part of the planet and use that to blend in tones of green, including variations due to species health and the current season. This creates a far more complete image and allows you to identify features, geologies, and potential points of interest all the way from space. Let's go down to the surface and start with something closer to what you're used to, but in a whole new light. When we approached the surface of the planet, we wanted to start by focusing on just the soil and rock. One of the things that was missing from our terrain previously was simply feature complexity. Looking at our contemporaries, we lacked detail at the ground scale. To combat this, we've added a new layer of data. That layer is called the medium tiles. These are intelligently placed on top of the existing 4-kilometer terrain tiles based on slope, soil type, and other erosion data. And these medium tiles don't just create height changes, they also bring in local erosion data both for soil and bedrock size values. And this gives us a whole new level of terrain detail, of scale, and allows us to create far more unique locations across the planet. So now that we've nailed the surface, let's have a look at adding some rocks. We've now got two major contributors to the rock content of our planets. Firstly, long desired feature, cliffs. We are adding large scale, very detailed to all our cliffs based on the geology at a given location. This adds an exciting new dimension to steep slopes that we simply couldn't get before.
Endlich haben sie richtige Berge.
The second is a big one for you ground vehicle enthusiasts. Rocks are
Schaut
now
aus wie die
found
Alpen.
not scattered everywhere, like spilt popcorn at the cinema, but only in places you'd expect to find them, thanks to a brand new rock scattering algorithm that isn't annoying as hell. Using physical data generated for each large and medium tile, now rock distribution makes sense and has a physical basis. So if you're still crashing into them after this comes out, that's
Aber
on
für
you.
Fahrzeuge ist es nix, hä?
The rock assets themselves have had a glow up too. We now create rock sets related to a particular geology that look like they originated from the same source. And this ties into how we'll be distributing minables in much more interesting ways too. So now that our base terrain and rock scattering looks good, let's add some vegetations and explore some additional
Richtig
biomes.
idyllisch.
Nyx 1's forests and grasslands are full of trees, various grass species, rock formations,
Ja, da ist
and
tatsächlich
they're
ein Auto
found in
gefahren.
all sorts of elevations like mountain valleys, open plains, and dense meadows. And when we start to add a bit of fresh water, they begin transitioning into more wetland-type biomes. And while forests are super cool, let's focus on the grasslands and wetlands today. So, how are we making these look so great? Obviously, we've had grass before, but never meadows of it. Because
Zum
until
Glück nur
now,
noch einen
we
Monat.
haven't been able to spawn grass in large enough quantities or effectively represented at distance. So we're stepping up our game in terms of spawning, shaping, and shading grass.
Ja, genau, das habe ich mir auch gedacht, wegen die Fahrzeuge.
With Genesis, we now leverage
Kollisionsabfrage
GPU
wird eine
spawning to
Katastrophe.
create vast quantities of assets across all biomes, whether it be dense meadows or more complex collections of ground cover like you can see in these wetlands. We are also able to fit our grass tiles to the ground by conforming them to the unique terrain underneath. Now we can finally cover complex terrain shapes with grass and ground cover assets, and as a result they are now gravity aligned, meaning each blade is oriented as you'd expect and not sticking out like before. Next, let's take a look at how we light our grass. Now, as in real life, the shading of a grass blade, or indeed a whole field of grass, is lit very differently to like a flat surface. We now use a solution that shades meadows of grass far more like fur or hair. And this, if you think about it, makes sense. At a distance, a field of grass is far more like a carpet or cloth than a flat surface. This improves how our grass looks from a near perspective, as well as bringing us nicely into how we're solving the distant representation of grass. So, let's talk about the distance problem.
Wahrscheinlich, ja, 9 Haberpanzer oder sowas.
One of our biggest achievements with Genesis is allowing us to build beautiful biomes out of flora and geology assets like a building set. Like, can I say Lego?
No.
Too late.
Schaut das geil
But
aus.
in the past, this broke down very quickly when objects simply disappeared when viewing the same biome from 10, 20, 100 kilometers away. Because we don't hide planetary transitions and allow you to view complex regions from very large distances, there are almost infinite perspectives from which you can see a location in Star Citizen. So, how can we afford to evaluate complex spawning logic at runtime for the entire swathes of the planet? Enter the virtual terrain. Virtual terrain, or VT for short, is how we now cache and represent our terrain at varying scales. This has been the enabler for all of the lovely advances in terrain complexity and asset spawning we've shown so far. And it's also how we now evaluate and represent vegetation.
Da muss jemand wieder ins Wespennest stechen. Das hat weh dann.
When creating the VT for each part of the
Wird Mitte
terrain,
nächsten
we
Jahres
assess if
angefangen wieder
vegetation has covered
weiterzubauen.
the ground,
Badge,
and
so.
if so, what shading should be applied. For all of our
Ich bin mir
biomes,
100% sicher.
we're now able to use the same shading model for the distant representation as the close-up asset, whether that's our lovely rolling hills, some more dramatic rockscapes, those muggy wetlands, or even our festering swamps. So, yeah, we didn't forget about the swamps, and they're coming to Nix 1 as well. Built using the lessons learned and all the technologies we've developed, these swamps now spring into existence from the planetary data. This biome combines all of the elements from the other biomes we've shown you today, from water interaction, denser spawning, unique ground coverage, and I think it creates something really unique.
Hat leicht einen Touch
Anyway,
von Pandora.
that's our update on the Planet Tech portion of Genesis and how we're using it right now to sculpt the identity of Nix 1. And I hope you're as excited as we are to explore this and everything we haven't shared yet next year.
As you can see, Genesis is now inspiring everyone here to create planets of the quality and believability we've always strived for. A meeting of technology and art that I truly believe will set our worlds apart from anything we've done before. And with that said, let's move on to a little travel between systems, literally. Up until now, our mission system has been specific to the star system you're in, meaning a Stanton mission has to take place in the Stanton system, and a Pyro mission has to take place there. We've never been able to link these together, But with the introduction of our third star system, it's time for this to change. And that begins with the introduction of interstellar cargo.
What are you talking about today?
System-to-system hauling missions. Hauling is back.
System-to-system hauling missions.
Ah.
These are exactly what they say on the tin.
Nice.
Missions where you're going to start in, say, Stanton and end in Nix, taking various volumes of cargo between the stations. So there'll be high volumes of cargo that kind of fulfill the purpose for the Hull C and the other series of Hull ships. And there'll be a few sort of more direct routes.
So you might pick up some cargo from Ruin Station in Pyro and go through the jump point to Stanton and drop it off there at one of the Elios.
So if you've never sort of experienced the jump point or going through it, these missions will require you to.
Ich weiß schon jetzt, was
And
passiert.
no way limited. You can do them in any sort of ship you want, any size of ship. I'll be doing
Wenn du
them
es
in my Drake
aussprichst,
cutter
dann
myself.
passiert das auch.
Between Stanton and Nix.
Behalt's für dich.
Nee, das kann ich nicht.
Drake Cutter.
Man schreibt Chris
I've
an,
got a
wo
few
bist du?
ships,
Wann
but the
sehen
Drake
wir
Cutter is
uns?
really cute,
Ja,
so-
vielleicht übermorgen oder sowas. Ich bin gerade dabei, meinen Hall zu beladen.
One thing that we're looking to add with these interstellar missions is scripted combat encounters where you can be attacked by
Oder
NPC ships.
wie schaut's aus?
Maybe
Willst
the
du
mission
willst
giver
mitspielen?
has tipped off some
Wir müssen noch die
pirates
Halle
who are looking
entladen.
to get a hold of
Ja,
that
genau.
cargo, as well as express missions, which means the deadline timers that you're used to in the regular hauling missions might get really tight and you've got to learn to be very fast. All of the love and care that has gone into hauling missions so far, with the logistical network and making sure they make sense within the themes of the systems, just as much love has gone into the interstellar missions we're making now.
At the
Wird's
start of
dann
the
mit
show,
der Halt
we
E
said we
oder
was
D
going
oder
to
so,
build
oder?
out the Nix system right in front of you after 4.4 launches next month, and why we want to keep as much of what we're doing behind closed doors so you can discover it for
Mit
yourself
4.4,
in-game and on your
okay.
own. We still are excited to
Ah, das
share
ist
with
jetzt
you
noch der
a
Plan,
brief
ne?
look
Also mal
at one of our
abwarten.
up-and-coming locations.
Hat er gerade
we're
gesagt.
calling
Ja, ich weiß,
Rock.
das ist jetzt der Plan, aber die müssen es ja auch erstmal dann hinkriegen, ne? Concept Art.
Okay, so Rockcracker, Jared, is our internal name.
Rock cracker is where you have to crack a rock.
Nein, echt?
Ach, wirklich.
A big rock.
Big Rock.
You want more?
So way out into the Kiga Belt, you'll find these old QV breaker stations.
Oh, jetzt müssen sie
These
nur
were
noch einmal
originally
die Orion
industrial
zeigen.
facilities breaking
Oder die
apart
Arasta.
large asteroids and mining them down.
Die hat ja auch schon eine
Since
größere
they've been
Größe, glaube ich.
mothballed and been left abandoned. So you're going to have to find your way inside and thinking about how do we bring this facility back to life. It's not just about flipping a switch. As you bring these stations back to life, you'll be lighting the beacon
Weißt du,
and
was ich
calling
vermisse?
attention
Warte mal
to
kurz,
these
warte.
long forgotten places.
One of the main features is the laser head, which will require certain things to get working. It's up to
können
you
diese
and your friends to
Stationen
find how to
beanspruchen?
get in.
Irgendwie sowas habe ich auch gerade gehört.
Could be a
Ja.
Und
variety
den
of
Laser
options.
aktivieren, um diesen riesen Rock zu
Whether
brechen.
you're discovering the bowels of the station and
Also
mining your way
PvP-Zone.
through long forgotten tunnels,
Nein.
or you're going through the main laser entrance. Now, as you're traversing through the facility, you'll find the
Ich
old
vermisse
engine
diese
room.
Grey Cat Spinnen, was mal gegeben hat.
Now, there may be ways to bring the facility back to life, kickstart the engines, and bring power to different parts of the facility. Maybe eventually bringing the laser back online and cracking some rocks.
The secondary gameplay loop is FPS combat. You're not there by yourself.
There may be squatters and outlaws
Ja,
in
sag ich,
these
ich hab PvP-Zone.
stations trying to stop you from what you want to do.
Also nichts für mich.
So you've found these old facilities, you've brought them back to life. You've systematically brought power to various functions of the facility. You've activated the laser. You've fired the laser. You've broken apart the rock. And then you'll be able to fly your ship inside and see what's there.
Warum, Aurigus? Was ist denn wo hättest du Bock drauf? So.
You fly a ship into an asteroid.
Yeah. You just
Gameplay,
get into your ship and fly in and start searching around and trying to find the pieces that you want to mine.
Okay, das ist natürlich auch eine geile Sache. Ja, kein FPS, okay, das ist klar. Ich dachte jetzt, du meinst nochmal was anderes.
I'm really excited about because it's a sandbox activity. You can kind of go to these whenever you want to.
This content is for players who enjoy mining, who enjoy exploration, investigation, and don't mind a little bit of FPS content.
Wäre ich mir nicht so sicher.
Ich hab's bis jetzt glorreich
ja, das schon, aber wenn du das machen willst, so, weißt
very
du?
new experience compared to any other asteroids, because this one,
bleiben.
kind of like Alan and mine, will crack open and show its secret.
And one presumes you can make a decent amount of scratch.
Ich hab bis heute Hardware nicht
asteroid that's
gemacht.
big enough, you fly your spaceship.
Ja, Hardware habe ich auch noch nicht
It
gemacht.
wouldn't be worth doing if you
Bis auf
couldn't
das im
make
Stream
a
das
good
bisschen.
amount of coin. Yeah.
Wo ich nur
Making
einmal
promises
gucken war
for
und dann
the
erschossen wurde.
Yeah. They've got to balance it.
It's for people who want a lot of minerals. When crafting comes in, when all the other mechanics and features that we want in the game for 1.0 come in, it will be a place where like an organization or a group of like 5-6 people could come and just get a monumental amount of minerals.
Mehr von den Vanduls, bitte.
Kommt jetzt.
So, that's a look at some of what's coming over the next 12 months. In addition to what we've shown, there'll be new mission packs tailored to the People's Alliance and their struggles. There'll be events that invest you into the evolving storyline of all three systems we'll have in the game. And of course, when we begin populating these with new planets, there'll be a whole host of ground-based POIs, settlements and structures inhabited by those trying to make their way in the verse. And all of this in service of building star systems that complement the massive corporate yard of Stanton, the lawless ganking of Pyro, and now the new frontier of discovery for the Nyx system. Should I say ganking?
You already did. Good job, everyone. So yeah, a whole lot to take in there. Interstellar hauling is the beginning of a massive expansion to the mission system that'll let us connect these 3-star systems like never before. What else we got? Rockcracker. Rockcracker is just one of the next operations that'll be coming to the Nyx system in the first half of next year, where you're gonna fly into an asteroid and do that thing that miners love more than anything else. Complain about PvPers getting in their way. No, I'm being told it's mining. It's mining. And of course, one of the most anticipated features coming to Star Citizen, Genesis, and what that means for the planets of Star Citizen, including the ones already in there. So let's talk to Will Hain and find out more. And I'm just remembering that Will Hain is in France at the watch party. Okay, France. Ask Slarty Bartfast over there how they're going to use Genesis to update the planets and moons of Stanton and get back to me, all right? And see if we can get some fjords. What else we got? The Citizen on Digital Goodies Pack. That's a hard thing to say. That went up for sale a couple weeks ago and has a whole bunch of mysterious items in it. And that's where I can tell you now that almost all of them are tied to the Nyx system in one way or another. So let's find out what's actually in there. There's a gunship flight suit and helmet. 2 armor sets from that mysterious faction causing a ruckus with a Vandal, and an Intersect BDU sweater and outfit, a couple of crazy weapons that I'm certain we're going to learn about in just a few minutes, some slick Levski swag, and finally, to celebrate the long-awaited edition of the Vandal of Star Citizen, a cool Vandal knife and adorable plushie, which I swear to love and squeeze and cherish forever. So yeah, it's a pretty solid haul for this year's Digital Goodies Pack, which you can still pick up right now on the RSI store. So now, let's go ahead and transition into our next segment. Much of what you see in the show today has been the culmination of a lot of people's work in... All right, I had a dream about like this once. Yeah. Okay, so against everyone's better judgment, the thing has finally happened. Can I help you? How do you think the show's going? Good. We're getting the Nyx star system and the Vandal are coming. Kind of been a lot of Nyx, right? Well, yeah, but it's a major milestone and it deserves a major showcase celebrating everybody's hard work. And you got more, right? Well, yeah, there's spaceships coming up.
Cool.
Wow, it's like they only scanned the original community portion of me. If pictures steal your soul, imagine what face scanning in PCAP does. Well, this has been super cringe. So I'm head out.
Der verhaltet sich wirklich auch.
Ja, der siehst ja in dem Hintergrund, der verhält sich schon so.
Still better.
Ja,
You should have done that.
das sieht man, dass es eine Person ist.
Thank you. Part of me that isn't a soulless marketing puppet. All right.
Geil.
No.
Geil, es gibt auch ein Kuscheltier von ihm.
Nice.
Ist das auch ein gutes
Go to some spaceships, shall we?
Ach man, ich mag den Typen.
So, jetzt kommt Spaceship.
Hi, my name's John Crew. I'm the vehicle director here at CIG, and welcome to Talking Ship, where we're going to talk about 3 new ships coming to the Persistent Universe.
Origus kannst du hier gewinnen. Einfach rein mitmachen, Mensch.
Ausrufezeichen Ticket in den Chat.
The last year has been pretty hectic in terms of vehicle deliveries. I think we've delivered the most we've ever done in a 12-month period, and we've covered all the way from tiny little snubs all the way up to capital ships.
We've kind of filled out a few little gaps. We've introduced some new ships by some old manufacturers.
Bitte zeigt die BMM, was nächstes Jahr wieder angefangen wird.
Enjoy playing with that. We snuck the Idris in without none of you expecting it for a while, and it's been a busy year. It's nice to start revisit some of the older catalogue and some of the bigger ships again.
I think my favourite ship from the last year is a tie between the Wolf and the Golem.
Favourite ship in the last year? Probably the Wolf.
I feel like it's the obvious one. I'm trying to think of something else, but I really like the Wolf.
Everyone's mentioned the Wolf. The Wolf's everyone's favourite.
The Wolf, obviously, a return of Kruger, a completely new aesthetic to the game.
The Wolf was, it was kind of everything we set it out to be, and it revived an old manufacturer. We've not seen it for a while, so yeah, I'm going to say the Wolf.
The Golem, I think, is just an incredibly well-formed ship in such a small package. It really just shows off that Drake aesthetic, giving you the absolute bare minimum needed.
Hätte ja verstanden, wenn sie gesagt hätten Golem.
I honestly do really like the Zeus. I think it came out really well. It's kind of hard to pin down a favourite, to be honest, because we've released, a lot of really cool ships.
Next year we've got some super exciting ships
Zeig's die BMM, komm, bitte.
We're
Macht es nicht so
a few
spannend.
big ones, which is good. We're going to see again maybe some ships from some manufacturers that don't have that many in their lineup. There's a few big challenging ones starting, so they're good. A breadth of ships, should we say?
The 3 new ships we're going to introduce today all tie in some way to the primary factions fighting over the Nyx system. We'll start with the People's Alliance and Anvil Aerospace.
Okay.
Naja, für Paladin.
Anvil is a very military-based brand. It's been a brand that's in Star Citizen for a long time, fighting for lots of military contracts and lore, often up against Aegis, and to the point it actually beat Aegis in the past. You will be familiar with a lot of their ships' designs, such as the Hornet and Lightning. Earlier this year we introduced the Anvil Asgard, based on the Valkyrie chassis, which is an extremely popular offering. And this year we're bringing the concept ship we introduced last year, the Anvil Paladin, to life. The Paladin is a gunship from Anvil Aerospace designed to support ground operations.
A gunship is a ship that's designed to sustain a sustained firefight while
Kommt auch sehr in Richtung Asgard und sowas von der Form her, ne?
We don't have a lot of gunships in the game. They're true dedicated gunships. They are quite a tricky archetype to control in game without being too powerful. It's designed with a lot of firepower and high armor and health, but very low maneuverability.
It's multi-crew, it's just built purely for battle. It's got lots of armor, lots of guns, big guns.
It's got a very similar squat kind of form to the Valkyrie. It kind of reminds me of, I guess, like a pit bull, obviously a very menacing silhouette.
It looks quite forward-weighted in its stance. It feels like it's coming towards you even when it's just sat still, and I think that's something that helps with it feeling intimidating.
If we swing round, following the ship round clockwise, what you'll then see is the first of the side turrets. If you notice the canopy, you'll see that there's a fairly thick space between where the glass is and the hull exterior. That's because it has deployable armour, which can come out and give you a little bit more cover while you're actually attacking the target head on.
It's got these really nice kind of dual-connected wings with the turrets out on the sides, just to try and get as much kind of range for those turrets as we can get.
Which is controlled by one of the two remote
stations underneath the bridge. If we come around to the rear,
ich finde die Panzerung geil, dass du dann diese Schlitze hast, wo du durchgucken kannst, weißt du?
Main turret of the ship, which is controlled by the co-pilot.
So you've got full 360 coverage underneath, full 360 coverage on top with it.
Hab mich gerade schon gewundert.
And then the side turrets also have 360 coverage.
Ich glaube, die Scorpius hat das
that way
auch, oder?
around and 180 out sideways. So really you have between the turrets pretty much 360 coverage in all directions.
Ja, ist die Frage, ob wir das dann später können, ne? Mauritius. Weil das sind ja alles kleine Man-Turrets, ne?
All the turrets are remote and all the crew are located in this one central two-story room.
A lot of our other gunships, the crew gets scattered across the ship, but with the Paladin, you're all sat together with a nice, cool experience, so you can really feel like you're playing as a group.
You've got the pilot, co-pilot up top, and you've got the gunners underneath, and I think that helps with the intention of what the ship does, because you've got this really nice kind of like gunner viewpoint down, kind of giving this lower coverage.
We added a glass floor just to keep the two connected. I think that really helps with the feeling that you're all working together and communicating.
That said, if you don't have the ability to fully crew a Paladin, you can still fly it and engage in combat solo.
Obviously not as good as if you have a full crew, but you can't always guarantee your friends are going to be online.
As a solo ship, it's pretty capable of doing a variety of missions within Star Citizen. So if you want to run this ship solo, you can take on combat missions.
Die Anvil Paladin gibt es jetzt eine Seite auf RSI.
Or other ships such as the Drake Cutlass.
Scheinbar steht es wieder zum Verkauf.
Ich habe eben gerade geguckt und da war es
Paladin, you enter into this sort of armory, ready room area. You have a variety of suit lockers and weapon racks in this room.
Everything's very militaristic, stripped back.
Ich schaue nämlich schon ganze Zeit wegen einem
It's a very
gewissen
functional
Alienschiff.
space, but you'll find everything you need in there.
One of the improvements from the original concept is we've added a small dedicated
Also
cargo
Leute,
area allowing you to store
wer
actual
sich's kaufen will,
SCU
jetzt habt ihr
crates.
wieder die Chance.
Forward of that is the route to the lower gunners, and then upstairs you have the bridge area, and then off that central area you have the dual living quarters, one on the left, one on the right, and then at the rear you have the main sort of engineering area where the majority of the components are. Also within the upper traversal area you also have a little breakout area with seating,
Es ist schon die 10-Jahres-Versicherung aktiv.
I think it's a very cool looking ship. I think we did a really nice job of taking what was there in the concept, adding an extra level of detail and trying to kind of push things forward.
I think it hits the nail in terms of a really solid military ship. It's really complementary to some of the other ships in the Anvil lineup, so something like the Valkyrie, where you've got this big dropship. The Paladin's there just to make sure it's safe, make sure no one messes with you, and just basically scare people away.
The thing I like most, I think,
Oktober,
about
11.
is
Oktober steht drin.
that it's very clearly got a crew of 4,
Also heute quasi.
and they all kind of
Hier
work
steht, the
and operate
Paladin
under the same
arrives
conditions,
Star Citizen Alpha
pilot,
4.3.2 upon release.
all equal on the ship.
Und will in der nächsten
Everyone's
Version
got the
von
same style
PTU
of
wird es
bunk.
drin sein.
When they're at
Es
work,
kann sein,
everyone's
dass
at the
das
front of the
heute
ship
oder
together.
morgen
It's really odd to me
live
that
geht,
you
oder?
call that. You like that there's one toilet for people.
Nö, das glaube ich.
Oder zumindest im
Well, you know,
PTU,
it's you all work together. You're all equal at work. You're
Toilet seat never gets cold.
toilet seat never gets
Es
cold.
gibt 3 Gunner.
So that's the Anvil Paladin.
Eins heißt
Whilst
5
originally a
Turrets.
military-built craft, it's the perfect ship for folks on the frontier trying to defend against threats.
2 Seitenturrets.
And talking of threats, let's move to our next ship, a
Aber
replica from
der
this area.
Pilot hat keine.
Ich glaube, der Gunner hat, der Pilot hat
Xperia
dann
are a
alle zur
high-end
Verfügung, wenn
manufacturer.
keiner
They
die
specialize in
Warte
recreating
mal, jetzt geht's um
exotic,
Xperia. Jetzt
particularly
geht's um
alien
Xperia.
spacecraft.
Gucken wir uns das später
Effectively
noch
what they're
genauer
doing
an.
is they're remanufacturing them, making them a little bit more suitable for kind of human flight. And the latest offering from Xperia is the Vandal Stinger.
Stinger.
Oh
The Vandal are big, scary space aliens. They're like 7 foot tall, evil war race that sort
geil.
of take over, steal technology, absorb it, fuse
Die
it
wird
all together
verkauft, das
into
sag ich
their
doch.
own needs.
They are the relatively
Was
nasty
letzter Preis?
aliens that you sometimes hear about and haven't seen much of yet. They also make really cool spaceships.
The Stinger as a Vandal heavy fighter was reserved for their
Also
higher
Chris, ich sagte
tier
nur-
sort of ace pilots or
Sag lieber
high-ranking
nicht.
members within their clans.
The Stinger is a competitor to something like the FA
or I guess the Scorpius.
It packs a lot of firepower in quite a large frame, so it's a very, very tanky spacecraft. The firepower is almost unrivaled in terms of just both the number and the size of them. So it's there for players who don't want agility. They don't want to be in and out quickly. They want to be there brawling with big guns and taking all the hits. One thing Xperia have done differently with the Stinger is they have done away with the majority of the bespoke weapons.
They heard everyone's complaints about Glaive and Blade and have stripped off the original Vandal weapons to allow customization for standard human weapons.
With the exception of the single-size firegun,
It was too well integrated into the hull, even for Xperia to remove.
all the additional weapons are generic mounts, so they can be swapped
Wo kann man
with
sie kaufen?
any of the
Ah ja,
design
da.
lineup that we have in the game.
Doch.
By doing this, it
Von
provides
31
greater
Sekunden.
flexibility to the end user, and this is something Xperia wanted for this
Oh,
video.
geil,
For that one
geil,
bespoke
ja,
weapon, the size
ja,
5 plasma
ich auch noch
cannon,
nicht.
functionally
Oh ja,
it
sie
is
ist
the
da.
same as
Aktualisiert
the
euren
existing
Dings.
size 5
Ja, mach ich
plasma
gerade die ganze
cannons on
Zeit.
the Scythe and Glaive, but it is a sort of Gen 2
Alter.
model, and
Sofort
wraps
kaufen.
it in a different aesthetic compared to those models. You'll see
Ist
they're
die
very
geil.
much older Vandal styling. This is much newer Vandal styling, but underneath it is the same weapon that people have used for years.
Aber ich muss sagen, 315
Our
ist
job
eigentlich
as the
relativ
vehicle art team on the
erschwinglich,
PU was
ja,
to
weil
take
die
the
Glaive
Stinger from the
kostet über
squadron
400.
team and prepare it for life in the PU.
Nur so nebenbei.
We
Also ich
took an
sehe
opportunity to take, you know,
nicht.
this
Ich auch
really
nicht.
well-established art
Aber
style
es gibt schon eine
and,
Seite
you know,
dafür,
added
hat
extra
Pink
details when
Page,
needed.
So the exterior is a real blend of these kind of
Wollte ich
hard
gerade auch
surface, kind
sagen.
of rare alloyed kind of wings,
Ja,
and then
wahrscheinlich direkt
underneath
unter
this real
Patch,
kind of
so.
organic structure that kind of webs
Also
all
ich muss
the
ehrlich
ja,
sagen,
ist direkt der
connects
Dingens, es
the
gibt noch
thrusters in,
keine
it
Seite
connects all
dafür
the
gerade,
kind of
sondern einfach nur
underside
so.
of the vehicle and pulls the whole ship
Echt
together.
erschwinglich.
You can tell it's very different
Bei
from
15, ja, das
the
geht.
Vandal ships that are currently in the PU. If you take, for example, the way the cockpits are constructed.
Up at the front, we've got this big kind of bubble dome that gives the cockpit quite a unique shape compared to some of our other ships, and also gives the pilot a unique position within the ship and kind of gives great visibility out the front.
Boarding the Stinger is a little unusual compared to other ships, obviously being alien in nature.
You're going through a ramp at the rear, and it leads you kind of straight up into the belly of the ship.
There's, you know,
Ist geil.
lots of organic detail, rib cages, kind of strange alien forms.
I think
On
this
entry
guy
of
is
the cockpit,
working
the
in
seat kind of comes
process,
down
no?
towards you, and you kind of climb over the back of it a bit like a motorbike.
You're basically riding into the cockpit. It feels very much like you're being like carried inside the cockpit.
Aber
Into the,
das ist
the
dann das
traditional
Schiff, wo sie
prone
gesagt
flying
haben, es
pose
kommt
that
noch
Vandal
eins
pilots use.
mit dedizierten Waffen. Oder?
Ja.
I'm very happy with this thing. I
Wahrscheinlich.
think the team done a really good job of making something that feels different, it feels alien, but it suits our lineup of ships and it suits our universe.
I think the guys did a really good job of respecting the, you know, the direction and vision from the original Stinger and Vandal ships and Squadron.
We've tried to take a lot of inspiration from movies and other science fiction material, but I think it sits well within the Star Citizen universe.
So we have the Paladin for the People's Alliance. We
Bin
have
ich echt am Überlegen, ob
the
ich die
Stinger
F8
for people that
einschmelze dafür.
really like Vandal and want to try and pretend to be them. But what about the other mysterious faction we have running around?
Würdet ihr die F8 einschmelzen dafür?
So Gray Chowdhury got his start as
sowieso nicht.
he was working
Du
at a
hast es ja
cargo
so-
center out in Odin. He started being able to get his hands on some stuff that other people couldn't, items that necessarily you couldn't find on a store shelf, but you wanted anyway.
I think Gray is interested in, you know, happy customers. You know, Gray just
jetzt ist die
sees
Stinger-Seite
themselves
da.
as a conduit to get these things in the hands of people who are would appreciate them.
And I think that his latest offering is really going to turn some
Aber die
heads.
Bewaffnung ist schon echt geil.
So, was kommt jetzt?
Einmalzeichen.
So the Shiv, well,
Ist das,
we don't
das ist
really
doch eine
know
Ach, das ist die
what it is, if
Cutlass-Dingens, ne?
to be fair.
It's what happens when
Das ist diese
someone
Outlaw-Cutlass, die
who is a
zusammengefasst
genius
wird.
at Aeronautics
Ja, genau.
Jo.
ship assembly
Sie
is
bringen die
given
tatsächlich.
free rein to do whatever they want. It's the best of whatever they can
Naja,
find
warum auch
lying
nicht?
around, put together to make something truly unique, wonderful, arguably beautiful, and just released out into the universe to see what happens.
Das ist
At
diese
first
Cutlass,
glance, the
die
exterior of the
in
ship,
Dingen
I
zusammengeschweißt
think
wird
most
aus
people
Bruchstücken
will
und hast
probably
nicht gesehen. Das
recognize
haben sie
there
vor
is
12
more
Jahren
than a
mal
fair
irgendwann
proportion
gesagt.
of a cutlass.
Genau.
visible there, but it's had quite a few changes to it.
As you look a little bit closer, you'll start to pick out elements from other ships.
Ist Lore-Scheiße, ist Lore-Blödsinn, wenn man sagt von früher.
Even the bits that are obviously a Cutlass have had panels welded on, panels removed. The top turret, which is now remote, is just this hodgepodge amalgamation with multiple other ships' turrets. And then the changes continue onto the inside where, again, it sort of feels Cutlass-like, but then you'll find there's bits of Crusader ships just integrated into the wall instead of what was there originally.
It has lost its side entrance, some of its cargo capacity, but what it's gained is it's gained visually more powerful thrusters, it's gained a really kind of nice set of belly thrusters, it's upped its firepower.
As ever with the refined work from Gray's Market, you can see that great care was taken to the health and safety to ensure that there's no trip hazards anywhere.
There's like loose cables, panels are exposed. If you look carefully, you'll notice there are like tools laying around in the cockpit.
It's gained a toilet.
Ein Eimer.
Bucket.
Yeah, it's one for doing stuff and then you need a second one to wash your hands. It's not an animal.
It has very much taken that ethos of Drake and moved it down a level, which I think is quite an achievement.
Just look at this thing. How do you even begin to describe the madness that created this?
Das ist die Klebeband Drake, also die Panzertape Drake, das ist die.
Die Optiker, ja.
This is something new and different for Star
So wie man sich Drake halt
Where did
vorstellt,
it come from?
I'm not going to answer that.
Klischee-Shit.
Just nothing, just
No comment.
Gray goes to places and talks to people. I mean,
140,
you know,
150
there are
is
just
schon
many
heftig
ways
für
to
das Schiff.
find these things that, you know, I mean, are they legitimate, you know, manufacturers? No. Are they operating on the right side of the law? Maybe not, but, you know, money's money.
Does Gray have a motto, an ethos to live by?
It probably comes down to, don't ask where I got it.
Don't ask how we got it.
Don't worry about it. Just ask if you want it.
I think the ship is for someone that is looking for something a bit different, a bit away from the norm, that just wants something that's unique.
It's definitely for people who like a rustic
Steckt
aesthetic.
Bingo oben,
It's a
ja.
fun ship, but it's also really strong, to be honest, and it's absolutely a statement.
I'm happy with the 3 ship offerings. They are obviously very combat heavy.
There's something we wouldn't normally release all at once, but honestly, all of them are a different statement and they're all cool.
As always, super excited to release these ships into the game and just see how players react and play with them. It's always fun to see the quirks and the shenanigans that people get up to with them. So that's Talking Ship for another year. So.
Yeah, you can do the thing with Lexi. Talking weapons.
So I've just been informed that we have to do a bit of a timeshare agreement this year. So we have to throw it over to Alexi for Talking Weapons, which is an extremely original name.
I'm talking about the new edition that came out in October. The non-weapons are essentially the weapons that does not have a manufacturer, the weapons that you can think of that were made by space pirates.
Gray sells whatever he can sell.
Sometimes he gets his hands on some weapons that come from unknown origins.
He will sell things that no company in their right mind would ever make.
These are the most kind of like scrappy and taped together and the most kind of like pyro-ish weapons that you can think of.
Right now we're releasing 3 new weapons. Rocket launcher, the LMG, and the long-awaited Space AK.
I think this is the one that not only is the most in demand, but I've been politely badgered about the most. It's a fun rifle that basically fires energy and ballistic in sequence. So your first shot will be your ballistic, your second shot will be the energy. You'll see on the top of the art, there is a bolt that cycles the rounds, and that goes off with the ballistic shot, but it does not go off with the energy shot. And that is just like a really fun way of making a weapon work in kind of like a scrappy, glued together kind of aesthetic. The LMG, this thing is a really fun, slow-firing, hard-hitting beast.
It will bring the 50 cal, and the only other weapons that have this right now in the verse are the Bearing sniper rifle and the Coda.
Honestly, if you even get hit by one, you just instant tier 1 injury, back to medical.
Are you even trying anymore?
You know what? We made all these really complicated, fancy guns, and some people just want, I want a slow-firing rifle. Give me a scrap-together box that fires the biggest thing you can possibly find.
We don't have a rocket launcher of this caliber. It will be 3 grenades straight together that you pull into the tube and fire towards your enemies. The cool part about it will have an arming distance, so you will not be able to just point it towards an enemy.
It's also going to have a lot of spread. So essentially, you're going to have to get very close with your launcher to be able to blow up ships with a single payload in it. You can't actually aim with the apparatus, because you've got the tube on your shoulder, and you try to aim it, you'd have to physically put the tube in your head. So we were like, oh, we can't have an aiming apparatus for this. And then we realized, like, it's in the spirit of being a tube that you can't use the aiming apparatus, and you just kind of like, all right, I think that's the middle of the screen, I'm gonna hit it.
It's in the spirit of being a tube.
Are we gonna talk about binoculars? Binoculars are really cool. We don't have anything like this in the verse, and I think it will be really convenient to use something that's dedicated to look for the things, especially far away, instead of using your sniper scope, for example.
Will the binoculars have glint?
I'm not aware of this one. Probably not, because binoculars are not something that you need to be aware of.
It's really funny because obviously, due to Glintgate, as I beautifully internally call it, basically there was a lot of community feedback basically saying like, oh, I really like spotting people. I really like playing a spotter. And essentially I was like, oh, this community wants to be able to spot people from distances. And what can we make gadget-wise that doesn't require new features? And it was like binoculars. And I prototyped a thing which essentially was just a scope in a hand, and it worked. So we've got some really cool binoculars coming that allow you to spot people from distances.
And how much damage do the binoculars do?
Depends on how you throw them.
Thanks, Alexei and Zach. That's the end of this segment for this year. So that's talking ship and weapons, unless anyone else is going to come and tell me something else. It's been an exciting year, and I think the next year of ships is going to be even more exciting and expansive than this year.
Well. That is an eclectic bunch of combat ships for the verse, and they're all available right now up on the robertsspaceindustries.com store. Also, any minute now, there's going to be a PTU drop that includes all 3, so you can fly them now ahead of their release next week when Alpha 432 goes live. 3 combat ships. I wonder if they'll have any additional uses coming up later in the show. That's a hint. All right, what else can I show? There's merch.
Im Spiel,
got
oder
these
was?
cool new Levski death mat things. These are always popular.
Die muss ich mal jetzt mit Store Credits holen.
Levski metal posters on the
Da
store.
muss die Apollo
And,
draufzahlen.
of course,
Ist mir egal.
love them or hate them, but you can't avoid them. There's this cool new
Alienschiff.
Wickelo's Emporium t-shirt. Yeah. There's also a page published earlier today with a bunch of links to offerings from our third-party partners, from eye trackers to gaming chairs to voice packs to spaceship models from new partners like Planet Ring and Pigeon Spaceport and more. You can find all of that on the RSI website as well. And what else can I show? Oh, for those of you who are at watch parties, where is it? Challenge coins. Who doesn't love challenge coins? There's these lovely Levski-themed challenge coins if you're attending one of the 9 official watch parties around the world. There's also a digital one of these in the goodies pack, so you check those out. Don't leave today without getting your Levski challenge coin. All right, what else can I show? Now I'm kind of tired of shilling. All right, let's find out some more about where we are. Simon, can we move? Can we do? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Okay, here we go. Pardon me. Here we go. Excuse me. Hi. How you doing? That was my best angle. Hey, I got to be careful. Last year I took 3 steps and tore a muscle. All right, so this is the 9th floor of CIG Manchester's Manchester office. That's you. This is the room where we have lunch every day, and if you get here early enough, croissants, if the weapons team hasn't stolen all of them. Over here, we got some cool mannequins representing different aspects of the game. You got the ever-present, Hurston security armor over here. That's really cool. You got your Dusters armor right here. You got this guy from a game that we're not talking about today. Marine armor, yeah, it's all pretty cool. And then when you come over here, got a nice little recreation area. There's some sim pits over there for people who need to test that kind of stuff. We got this cool Krigeri Bengal carrier. Come over here, shoot it. Go down the nose here. Watch this. It's very cool. I'm gonna go over here. Can you see me? Hi, Mom. All right. So yeah, and what are you doing, Richard Towler? I thought John went to Washington, D.C. Let's see, what else we got? We got cool Voyager bar here. This is where we get all kinds of breakfast goodies, coffee, stuff like that. Hey, who remembers the big coffee controversy of 2016, where everybody took to Reddit and pondered the question, do devs deserve coffee? I do. You want to see what next year's big controversy is? Check this out. I'm gonna come over here. Do devs deserve coffee? Welcome to the Stargarita machine. Yeah.
Das ist gut.
Do devs deserve frozen deliciousness? I don't know. Go to Reddit and let us know. All right, let's see. Let's go over here. Competition winners. Competition winners. We have the list of competition winners. Can we put that on the screen? Yeah, competition winners. Remember the competition for the CitizenCon winners? The people made the videos, and we gave them a Kruger L21 Wolf. We actually have the names. They're behind me. Look. Oh. All right, that's cool. Also, everybody's got food. Do I have food here? Oh, somebody's supposed to save me pizza. All right, so we got. Oh, you guys saved me a lot of pizza. Let's see. There's like 3 different kinds of pizza here. What if we just combine them into like a challenger situation here? That's a CitizenCon throwback if you're not familiar with. So I have now crafted my own pizza experience. And that is a terrible segue into our next segment. Gemma, can we, Gemma, are you there?
Yes, Jared.
Can we fire up the FPS crafting segment while I try to chew this off camera?
We sure can. Roll, BT.
Let's go down.
Geht doch länger, die CitizenCon, huh?
Star Citizen, at its heart, will always be an enormous sandbox experience where you can set out to tackle the universe in whatever ways you want. But that doesn't mean we can't shape parts of the universe here and there to better suit our needs. That goes for both you and us. Let's start this part of the show with a look at how crafting is going to change everything from resource gathering, refining, and even combat when it comes online in the next few months.
The first version of crafting is going to be quite small in scale. We're going to use it as a kind of a concentrated effort to allow the players to experience the initial UI, the flow of gathering materials of different quality, and using those to craft items which are better than what they have currently in the game.
The first version is going to be primarily FPS items that you can craft, weapons and armor. For Star Citizen, crafting is our primary progression mechanic. Star Citizen isn't your standard MMO. We don't have levels. We have ships, we have gear, we have things that you create in the world, you perfect, you research, you improve, And those items, those ships, those vehicles, the armor and weapons, that's how you progress in Star Citizen. Crafting isn't just a progression mechanic for creating new items. It's also a fundamental change to how we handle resources in the game. The materials that you collect, how you refine them, quality matters.
Crafting the weapons, you'll be able to have some quality materials to influence the item stats on those weapons.
It'll be somewhat random, potentially weighted on the location of the material. Some will have a higher chance of higher quality. And once you take those materials to your crafting bench, the fabricator, you can use them to craft, and the different attributes will be increased based on the quality of the materials you use. It's not just iron ore anymore, it's iron ore of the quality that you know will get you the stats for the item that you desire. And it's not just mining, it's essentially every resource we can get our hands on.
To support this, we also need major changes to inventory so that all of these new resources that you're collecting, you can see what you have, you can order it better, you can understand what you have in your inventory.
We won't have the new refining crafting system yet. We'll be using the existing ones. Those will pass the quality through into the refined materials, which you can then take to your crafting machine and start making your personal items. Once you have your blueprint and your quality materials that you've refined, then you can put them together on the item fabricator. This will be pretty much what we showed in last year's CitizenCon, with the UI letting you assign your quality resources to different aspects of the item. Once you're happy with what you see on the preview, you'll be able to click to craft, and it'll get queued up, and your result will be produced sometime later. You'll be able to get the new crafting machine from shops in most landing zones. You'll be able to bring it up on your freight elevator and use it in your personal hangar, or tractor beam it around and stick it on a ship if you want to use it from there.
There'll be a small amount of blueprints you get credited to your account just to test and mess around, but the vast majority of them will be earned through missions, and then you can use that blueprint to craft the item that it is that you've got the blueprint for. So it should be a good reason to go and test all the different various missions in the game.
The advantage of crafting your own items is that they'll be better than anything that you could buy from shops. You'll be able to increase and improve item stats that are relevant to your gameplay. Maybe a gun will shoot faster, maybe it'll do some more damage, or your armor will have greater resistances against environmental effects or incoming fire. You might be wondering, what about the upgrade and research? That will be coming in a subsequent release. We're happy with this initial scope for crafting.
It's going to be so valuable for us as devs to kind of get the metrics in, get the feedback in, because then we can make the changes that, you know, they only become obvious, so to speak, when you have kind of mass amounts of data and mass amounts of users using it. So I'm very excited to get it out in the wild.
It's our intention to get crafting out on tech preview by the end of the year and get the testing we need so we can release it when it's ready.
Oh, sehr schön.
So that's one way you'll be crafting your own experiences in the Star Citizen universe. But what about us? Where do we get to hone in and craft a bespoke experience here and there, specifically tailored to individual or small group play? Well, that's where instancing comes in. And I'm going to let Benji tell you a little bit more.
We're bringing instancing to Star Citizen in 2026. Why are we doing it, and how will it work? So if you've played any content in 2025 in Star Citizen, you know that most of these areas were in actual PvP zones where other players could interfere. Instancing is a means to create an environment where designers can create tailored content that's tuned to a specific group size, but it is also protected from outside interference. It's not to say that we don't love PvP. I'm a PvP guy. PvP me, bro. But like most MMOs, a good balance between a dangerous overworld and a protected instances is needed. Right now, we don't have this ability, and this is something we really need in order to give you a sense of progression that is tailored and balanced to a tunable amount of groups, so the difficulty matches the group size, there's a beginning and an end. It doesn't mean that that doesn't fit in our overworld strategy, meaning getting to the instance is dangerous, exiting the instance is dangerous, or can be interfered with others. But at least when you're playing the content, we can actually make something that's curated for one experience. So before anybody says this is only a PvE thing, this technology can also be applied to unlock curated PvP experiences that are as seamless as the PvE ones. So it's not about one thing or the other, it's really about unlocking developers' ability to create curated content. So that said, how will it work? Instancing is really an evolution over static to dynamic meshing. We want your instances to be as seamless as your instance hangers, meaning that when you take an elevator, you exit the elevator, you're inside the instance. A gateway opens, you cross that gateway, you're now into your instances. Could be also a quantum jump into an instance that you don't even see. The transition is just like a dynamic mesh transition. And so throughout the universe, we will be able to add these areas that are open or closed instances that allow you to join in either with a party and have a reserved instance for your party, or join an open instances that has a number of slots. And so some of those areas will be completely instanced on different servers. This allows us to leverage the compute power of the entire mesh. The closed ones will be really to drive one piece of content. You enter and exit seamlessly, just like we do with your instance hangers currently. Let's go and find out what one of our first instances will be.
Siege of Arisen was an event we did previously, which created a gameplay scenario where the player had to run through and progress through contested islands of Arisen. This was a high-paced, high-intensity event, but it struggled a little bit from its technical execution. But now with the introduction of instancing, it gives us an opportunity to evolve it and modify it and make it better for you and a small group to work through that activity.
It is an event that I had the honor of pretty much solely designing and building all of the logic and having the stress of trying to get it working.
Agent Dooley from the CDF puts the call out for volunteers because basically the Nine Tails have taken over sort of a cluster of floating platforms in Orison.
And you are there to kill these sort of lieutenants of this terrorist organization and take back control. So in our current thinking, Siege of Orison is designed for about a 15 to 20 people fire team. So you, your friends, or your org will go in, you'll all have sort of dedicated roles. Some of you might be the tank who brings in the heavy weapons and sort of pulls the fire. Some of you might sit at the back and be the sniper and pick people off who are a bit further to make the advance easier. Some of you will be the medic whose sole job is going to be revive and look after the rest of your team and the health of them. And some of you will be the people who push for the objectives to try and get sort of most of the mission done. The event was designed for about 15 to 30 people, but when we released it, we fixed the problem with 2 DGSs on one server that was fighting for resources. And with that, we also upped the player count to 100. So when it first debuted, it was already too full for what it was designed for.
It was a massive operation at the time. I think that bringing it back and giving it a refresher will be a fantastic addition back into the PU.
So imagine if Siege was a instance that you could go in and play solo, or if it was a public event that you could go with your friends, or you could join up with random players on the server. There's lots of ways that we want to take a look at Siege, how we can make it a more approachable piece of content.
I'm excited, to say the least, to bring back Siege of Orison to Star Citizen and to sort of have it be one of the first tests that we have for instancing and really get it back to sort of a core experience point where it should be. So while the next season is quite heavily focused on Nyx, I'm also very happy that we're not really ignoring our other 2 systems of Standard and Pyro, and we're going back there and we're sort of improving and expanding on the player's life in those 2 systems as well.
Dass die SCU halbiert sind, liegt halt eben daran, dass es kein Transporter mehr ist, so gesehen, sondern ein Heavy Fighter.
And while things like Genesis, interstellar hauling, crafting, Siege of Orison, and more will reveal next year, will continue to bring life into the existing universe outside of Nyx. There's still one more exciting use for instancing we're building right now. It's an earlier look than normal, and some of it is still in white box, but we're excited to share the first look at a major content release of 2026. and what it means for progression-based gameplay. As an evolution of our Building Interior initiative, you won't discover it by accident, because when it's complete, it will be found deep within the heart of Levski itself. This is the Municipal Works. So inside the facility, you'll find huge vaporization chambers, old processing plants, industrial tunnels, and eventually into the old turbines which are still pumping heat into the old rock.
So this is the true history of Levski. This is a place where you won't see in Lorville, you won't see in I-18 or the other landing zone. It's the pure basis of Levski. You will have, of course, metal and tunnels and more structural place, but you will also see a lot of rock and cave. So it's not a place you go to take vacation, it's really a place you go to fix stuff.
Not everybody has what it takes to come down there and do the job that needs to be done.
All of your sewage systems have stopped working.
Everything's going upgrades,
upgrades. And so the player is tasked with their group, most likely, to go into there, take out the outlaws, and get the facility working again.
So let me get this straight. This is literally a mission to fix the toilets of Levski.
It's not just the toilets. You're also trying to turn on the air. Air is a bit more important. It still works in Levski, but they have like maybe polluted air because it's not being cleared properly. It's not just for the toilet.
Poop mission.
It's also a little bit more exciting than just going into like some vents. It's like a free-layered system where there's 3 chapters.
This will be mission-driven and repeatable. Everything from mining to salvage to combat to investigation, a variety of roles. Narratively, it's a real sandbox. Every progression you do will unlock a new area that will link back to previous areas, complexifying the play space.
We've been wanting to have more gameplay around landing zones for a long time. Now that we have instancing tech coming online, that allows us to do something that provides really cool gameplay close to a landing zone.
With the missions, that's what will create different overlays or change the spaces or change the progression, but it'll be the instancing which will enable us to create tailored content to you and your group. So you're going to be able to play a part of it, make your progress, and then log off. And then the next time you come online, you'll be able to pick up where you left off.
It's going to allow players to return back to it at different states, depending on how much you've progressed, and be able to keep it going until you've reached sort of the end of the whole 3 chapters.
Where you're not going to have other people getting in your way. It's you, your team, your party.
It's a way of giving players content where they know exactly where they're at and they can keep going back to it and improving sort of their own progress and ability to jump through them in faster and faster times as well.
So that's a look at how we'll be allowing players and developers alike to create more crafted experiences within the greater sandbox of the persistent universe. Okay, is that it for me at this point, Jared?
Almost. Throw it back to me, and I've got one more for you after this.
Back to you, Jared.
Everybody's really excited about the year ahead. So that's a brief look at some of the ways in which we're allowing you and our developers to craft a more curated Star Citizen experience. Now, at this point in the show, we are in the home stretch. We've got only one more segment to go. But before we do that, we wanted to check out, we said earlier in the show that we would look at what you were saying during the show. We looked at how to put YouTube comments on the stream, and it was immediately apparent that we were going to lose our broadcast license, so we're not going to do that. We did find some social media stuff on Twitch, though, or not Twitter, X. What is it called now? Let's see what this says. Let's see. We've got Welcome Back Levski from, I'm not wearing my glasses. Oh, no. Oh, time to suit up. Let's go get them, says Ubu. I really should have worn my glasses. Cue the bagpipes. That's the other game, Charlie Oscar. Let's see. Nice to see you live, Jared. Mom? Let's see. First CitizenCon after playing for almost a decade in Austin. Oh, nice. Straight out of Klesher, back to the Hex. Photos from Leicestershire. How do you say it? Is that Leicestershire? Leicester? Leicester? I've only been in the UK for 3.5 years. San Jose Bar Citizen Watch Party. Oh, somebody created a lovely Vandal mask there.
Für die Sheep haben wir noch keine eigene Seite, ne?
Sean Tracy, can we get that in game?
Für die was?
Just that, exactly. Just scan that, put that in game. All right, so that's a few reactions we're seeing on
Ja,
social
keine
media
Ahnung, ob
right
das so
now.
ausgesprochen wird. Ich habe das Black in abgespeckt.
Before
Doch,
we
die hat
get to
eine eigene
our
Seite.
big
Echt?
finale,
Ich hab
or
keine.
the thing we're going to wrap up the show with today,
Die heißt,
I did want to talk a little bit about
warte,
big
die
CitizenCon
heißt
versus
Grey
digital CitizenCon
Markets,
versus what we're doing
Grace
today, which
Markets
is CitizenCon
Chief.
Direct. Every year
Ist gleich
CitizenCon
auf
is
der
a
Startseite.
monumental task
Hinter
for
der
any
Paladin
number
und
of people,
zwischen der
whether that's
Fahrer.
development, marketing, the support teams, the platform teams, everybody comes together to make this thing happen and go off, hopefully without a hitch. And so far, we've been doing all right, other than some stuff in the room here. You know who you are. They had to know. But doing CitizenCon is not always the easiest thing for our developers. You might not assume this, but most game developers are not social butterflies. They tend to like to sit quietly in the dark at their computers, like little goblins, and just make digital virtual worlds like this. And then I come in all happy and like, hey, you want to be on video? And they're like, no. And I'm like, it's in your contract. And they're like, oh yeah. So we thought, we usually do it behind the scenes afterwards, but we thought we'd do a little bit of it here. The folks in the editorial department put together a brief montage of some of the more candid moments from the filming of CitizenCon over the last couple weeks. So we're going to spend 2 minutes and take a look at that. Let's see what they put together.
How many CitizenCons have you performed in now?
Performed? Just the one.
Nope, my first one.
One last year.
2.
A few.
8 or 9?
Maybe 9 or 10?
Never.
Man, I don't know, man.
Did you like doing it?
Yes, I was completely terrified.
It was good, a bit stressful.
The first live one, I was a mess.
Weird combination of going from insane highs to insane lows.
Live ones.
Because?
It's over.
The live ones are pretty special.
Pre-samp's always fun, but the live events are special, aren't they?
Remember we were at that weird crack house in Ancos?
Right.
I like the live ones. Oh, I mean, I love these digital ones. These are the best.
Every time I've done it, it has been a digital one, and I'd like to do one on stage.
Is it because you have a restraining order against you, or?
Didn't know if I was going to be sick, if I was going to lose my stomach.
How hard is it to keep your eyes open on stage?
That's another problem with the lights. They're kind of, I'm realizing through this sentence that I'm closing my eyes as I speak. Do I do that a lot?
I am a very shy individual, so this is me just trying to get out of my shell.
Getting the crowd to react to the ideas that we've been working on for so long.
We can react. Watch. Everybody. Yay!
Yay! I can feel your passion from here.
Cut the camera. Counting you down, like, you've got 30 seconds. I'm like, do I stand up? Do I sit down? Do I drink? Do I not? Do I talk?
This will be the best one yet. That's right. Because it's nice and short.
Is this all supposed to be usable content? Because I could be different.
No. Of all your nicknames, why is Moist Master your favorite?
I think you mean least favorite, and because it has the word moist in it. I mean, come on.
We'll give you a new nickname by the end of this.
Sounds good. Could do
All
with
right.
one.
Let's get started.
So for those of you watching at home or at the watch parties, you're like, why are we showing that? I put that in there because I'm eternally grateful for all of the CIG staff and developers who take the time to appear on these things, whether it's ISC, SCL, CitizenCon, walk on stage, be pre-recorded. It's not the easiest thing for everybody. And on behalf of the community, if I can speak for them in this regard, I want to say thank you for participating in these things each and every year that we have them. Now, let's wrap things up here. So, let's see, how do I want to do this? At this point, we've only got one major story left to tell. But before we do that, we wanted to do one more check-in on something we started last year. Last year, Rich Tyler took the stage and presented his roadmap to 1.0. and we didn't want to go an entire year without talking to the senior game director himself to get his update on that 1 year later. So we're going to throw it to him, and we're going to go to our last segment, and when we come back, we'll say our goodbyes. And if you're at a watch party, it's time to get... I was going to say, that's not a word I can say on camera. Let's just go, let's just throw it back to me. Go to me from 1 week ago. Last year, Senior Game Director Rich Tyrer took to the stage and revealed our plan for 1.0. Now, before we end this year's CitizenCon Direct, we wanted to take a few moments and follow up on that reveal from last year, to do as we've done today and look at the year ahead. So, Rich, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Well, you're welcome.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Everybody knows the only constant in game development is change. So I'm going to ask you outright, what's changed about the road to 1.0?
Well, fortunately, nothing. It still remains our North Star. The team is busy working towards that goal in the background, and every patch this year has moved us towards that goal. And if you haven't watched the Star Citizen 1.0 presentation from last year, I highly recommend you do so, because everything in it is still relevant as of today.
You mentioned every patch this year has moved us towards that goal, so I want to dig deeper into that. We've done, at this point, 9 releases in this year, more than any year prior. How does each one of these not just sit as their own moment in time, but move us forward on this road to 1.0?
Well, last year I discussed the framework of 1.0, how all those complex systems can
Also
tie
Fernglas würde ich immer mit LT
together. And one of
kaufen,
the
wenn es
core
runterfällt,
aspects of that was
zerbricht.
the main story,
Das
which
schlecht,
became
ja.
the spine of the universe, which brought
Das
all of the locations, mission givers,
wurde auch
guilds,
geupdatet, jetzt
and all
ist
the
alles
different
da.
areas of
Wir
the
haben
game
die
for
Waffen
the
drin,
players.
wir haben die Waffen drin, die
Now,
wir
what I
vorhin gesehen
didn't
haben,
talk
ne?
about
Diese
from last year
abgerappten.
was all of the
Mhm.
content that was going to support that framework.
So auf der Seite
add
selber
flesh
wahrscheinlich,
to the
ne?
bone,
Let's
should we
keep
say.
going.
And I think
Ja,
that's
genau.
where
Naja, ganz
this
normal in
year
dem
has
Hangar.
moved us
Ja,
towards
im
that
Hangar sieht
goal.
man es, glaube ich,
If you
noch nicht.
think
Da habe ich
about
gerade, also bei mir
previous
gerade nicht.
events of previous years, they've generally been locations that we've put into the verse,
Also in
but they've
deinem
been
Webhangar,
transient.
meine ich,
We've
ne?
taken them away,
Ja, ja.
like Siege of Orison or
Und
Zenith,
klar,
right?
kannst du
We've
auch
added
machen.
them to
Da
game,
kannst du aufmachen
and then they've
und
been
dann siehst du
moved
alles.
away. And I think with the addition of the patches this
Steht
year,
bei
when
mir
you
New
look
Armor,
at
New
the Hackle
Dingens, ne?
facilities, Onyx facility, these are permanent additions to the world that not only have their own story, as when we release them with the patches, but they'll also become points of interest and areas that the larger 1.0 narrative will utilize.
Since we're on story, I'm going to stay with this here. Since we launched the PU back in 2015, it's always been this sandbox where players can do what they want. They can bring their own story to the verse, and that'll never change. But how important is it that we also build this concurrent narrative of our own, this crafted experience, if you will, alongside that?
Well, we're trying to create a living, breathing universe. And that includes both the player stories that you mentioned, that they can go and enjoy and create their own memories together. But it also means that we want to have a universe that gives back. We want areas and locations to feel like they're believable and real life locations. And if you look throughout this year and the patches that we've worked towards, we've had an overarching story that's moved from patch to patch, and we're going through some of those cycles right now. We've also been introducing mission content that has fully voiced dialogue and facial animation, which allows us to inject some of the meaning and the why to what you are doing as a player. And I think story is integral to Star Citizen as a connective tissue that ties all of these different complex systems together, because it takes players on that journey throughout the game.
To see this big turn this year to start injecting story into the verse, I think people are really responding to it. So everybody knows, and you mentioned just now, that this year we changed a whole lot about how we operate and how we release things. How do you think that's gone?
I think it's gone very well. I think if the mantra that I've always been pushing this year at the beginning of January was patch always goes. And I think this year has seen a different development strategy for how we've been moving the game forward. That's where this different strategy has allowed us to really take a wider approach. And we also have to remember that Star Citizen is played by tens of thousands of players every day. And while we have lofty future goals, we still have to make decisions right now that make the game fun for the people that are playing it all the time, playing it as their daily game. If you look at previous years, we've had to hold a patch back, we've had to make concessions, mainly due to around a feature may not have been ready or right to go into there.
There were 3 months, 4 months, sometimes 5 months between patches.
Exactly, and I don't think that's good for anybody. I don't think it's good for the players. I don't think it's good for the development team. I think it's better to have regular cadence of drops. One good example is this year for A Line of Mine. People probably don't know, but A Line of Mine, when you turned on the laser, it was actually supposed to reveal the sandworm Valakar. And I played it, and it didn't hit the quality that I wanted to go into the game. So we changed, and I took it out, and I made that decision alongside Chris and Erin, and we've held that back, and we're going to work on that towards a future patch. But I think definitely the more regular cadences has had the multiple benefits, and like I said, I want to dispel a myth right here, right now. Like, features are still being worked on quite heavily in the background, from radar and scanning in FPS, the new quantum, to inventory, engineering and crafting, and all of those features are going to be coming very, very soon for players to get their hands on. And, you know, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to sit here and say that if I was to go back to the start of the year, I would hope that we would have released more features. But I also think every decision we've made this year has been through the lens of making the live experience as stable and as good as possible.
Absolutely. All right, so that's a bit about the year before. And the year before has been, I've said this before, I've said it internally, I've said it out there, I'm gonna say it right now again on camera. I think this has been the best year of Star Citizen ever, and I'm willing to look right into the camera and say that. The player numbers are up, engagement numbers are up, the length of the play sessions are up, bug numbers are down, 30K is gone. It's been a solid year. But CitizenCon isn't CitizenCon without talking about the future, so I want to move us to the future. We've talked about story, we've talked about this more diegetic, immersive universe and adding voice lines and stuff like this. But where do we go from here? Obviously that continues, but what more are we going to do to make this universe seem alive and real and breathing?
I think the biggest thing is to start having that conversation be two-way. So if you think about this year, like you mentioned, we've been having fully voiced NPCs, but a lot of those missions and those NPCs, they're talking to you, they're talking at you. Right. You don't get to talk back to them. Now, obviously, you get to interact with them through your actions, you get to go and do their mission, and you get to move that along, and then they talk to you again. But it's a one-way conversation.
We're missing that conversation wheel.
Exactly. The next part would be physical mission givers. That's something that we're going to be working towards very soon, with Battaglia being the first one coming back in the verse. And just to be clear, we will be bringing all the mission givers eventually back, and we want them to be an integral part of the verse and the story that players go and enjoy. We want the locations to be brought to life, and as we mentioned last year, we want to have interactive scenes that you can go and be part of. And obviously the full end goal is towards, you know, to have cinematic stories in the game, and that is what we're going to be pushing towards. Everything we do, every decision we make is through the lens of moving us closer to 1.0. It might sometimes be difficult to see why those decisions have been made at the time they've been made, but rest assured that Star Citizen 1.0 is still our North Star. That's what we're still aiming towards, and that's what we're going to be moving forward with every patch next year as well.
I'm remembering when mission givers were first introduced, they sometimes became a bottleneck. Is there a role in instancing, which we learned about earlier today? Is there a role for instancing in that, in helping with mission givers?
Yes, partially. It will be one mechanism that will allow us to have players go to their own individual area of the verse, have that conversation, and then go and continue on into the open world environment. So I think that's where, when we look at instancing provides us one tool that allows us to remove that bottleneck and provide a more seamless experience.
Happy you said that, because that's one of our last topics I want to get to, is how we reconcile instancing with the persistent universe. Like, for the last 10 years now, we've been building this giant, seamless, persistent universe where everybody can come in and play together. And it would be easy to have a first instinct reaction to the idea of instancing and say that's antithetical to everything that Star Citizen is. But you mentioned last year these 3 pillars of building Star Citizen in the PU, and I want to know, you said nothing changed, but I want to ask you about this specifically. What are those 3 pillars again, and how does instancing fit within the greater design of Star Citizen?
So the 3 pillars I mentioned last year were open world. That's just like the missions you love today. You can go and play, there's other players there, and you can go and enjoy that together. Then we have instancing, which I'll talk about more, but similar to municipal works that we've talked about previously. And then the 3rd pillar was dynamic content, which would be content that's generated by the activities of the players. And I think it's very easy to become myopic around one specific thing when we're talking about it a lot, when it's the next stage of our development. And I think you could reverse it. If we'd have made a game that was all instance, and then I'd come on camera and said, hey guys, we're going to start doing it open world, it would be like, oh, is the game changing? Are we doing open world now? Is open world the new North Star that's going to take us this way? And it's not. It's just one more tool that's going to allow us to offer different and dynamic experiences for players to go and engage in. Now, when I talk about instancing isn't always what you'd imagine as a solo instance experience where it's only just you. We're going to have several different versions of instances. Some are going to be closed instances, which will be like the new player experience. We'll be able for you to go in by yourself, for us to teach you the ropes in a safe environment so that you can understand how to play the complex game that we've made. But we'll also have open instances like a cantina or a bar where we might say, hey, we only want 50 people to come in here because we've got mission givers and we've got other NPCs for you to talk to, and you would just walk in and it would be seamless. You wouldn't know that there was an instance, it's not going to get a loading screen, you would just seamlessly walk into that location, it would be full of other players and NPCs, and you can go and enjoy the content. And that's, I think, something that instancing is going to provide us. It's going to give us a tool to offer different dynamic content, or curated content, as I'd say. It allows us to create experiences that are different to the open world experiences that we've already made. And it's not to say that we won't continue our open world development or only do instance content. It's going to be a mix. And like I said, this is one of the pillars that will move us towards 1.0. We will eventually work on dynamic content that will move us towards 1.0, and all 3 of those pillars will interweave to create the full Star Citizen experience.
All right, so we've hit a lot of the bigger topics, the feature work, engineering, and FPS crafting coming to tech preview soon, stuff like this. We've talked about instancing and how that's going to work within the universe. But I want to ask you this one last big one. It's very easy to say Star Citizen is this kind of game and that kind of game. Those of us who spend our days making it know better. It's an everything game. It's everything we can make it game. It just is. But at the core of this is still spaceships. That life of spaceships. What more can you tell us about spaceship gameplay in the future? What can you give us? What can you tee up for us to look forward to for those of us who are really into Star Citizen for the spaceships?
Our intentions going forward are to make sure that every ship or ship archetype that you acquire has a role and has content that you can go and enjoy in the universe. For example, right now I know that we're working on more robust mining missions, more robust salvage missions. We're going to be working on refueling missions. And we want to make sure that each and every one of the ship has a purpose and has a reason to exist in the game. That's from the smallest Argo MPUV, as well as ground vehicles, all the way up to the large capital ships. We want to give them purpose, and I think it's something that we are absolutely aware of. We want to make sure that we're building that spectrum of content to allow players to go and engage in. And I think 2026 is going to be a very good year for Star Citizen, and I think there's going to be something that's very interesting and something that a lot of people have been waiting for. But rather than me spoil it, I'll let Ian and the team go into the details on that.
Get a twinkle in his eye. Ian, take it away.
So the persistent universe has existed for over 10 years now. During that time, we've created lots of gameplay systems, we've added hundreds of locations, we've added lots of mission activities for different purposes: combat, cargo, mining, salvaging. But for combat ships, the only thing you've been able to do is fight other combat ships. In 2026, this changes. We're going to be delivering a spaceship-focused activity space which incentivizes the use of different gameplay roles. These are going to be scenarios where you're going to have to plan and strategize and create operational tactics to overcome your objective. So what you're going to see is very early. It's early in the pipeline process, and it's going to come online about mid next year. But we're really excited about the content we're creating, so we want to share with you a super early look at what we're building in a space we're calling Tactical Strike Groups.
The People's Alliance are still trying to get to the bottom of what this new faction is really doing in the Nyx system.
They've sent a capital ship to check out a station and run into more than they can take care of themselves.
Unfortunately, that team came under attack and members of their groups were taken hostage. Now they've reached out to Intersec, who've reached out to you to help recover the pilot. Of course, it's unwise to do this alone, so you'll need to put a team together to attack the
Dann haben
station.
die Capital-Schiffe endlich ihre Daseinsberechtigung so richtig.
When you arrive, you will have this big asteroid, kind of broken asteroid, and on this you will have this base where you will find 3 big arms. You will see in the middle, you will have this big energy core.
Ob dann die Hologlobes in die
here has a
Capital-Schiffe funktionieren, weißt du, wo man da
Bestimmt noch nicht.
strategisch...
Noch nicht.
You'll see a huge alliance-owned interest that's just on the outside, and it's going to be getting harassed by this unknown faction that you have met before.
So your first objective here is to clear out the ships. There'll be waves of these ships, so this is what you want your light or your medium or your heavy fighters, whichever playstyle you prefer.
So while one part of your group is dealing with the fighters, now it's time to actually assault the station.
This station has been outfitted to resist all of the obvious way of attacks.
Somehow they've incorporated Vanduul capital ship killing turrets. These turrets ignore small fighters, and they have the firepower to destroy even the biggest capital ships.
Also gerade gesagt.
Vanduul-Kanone.
Your Polaris and your Idris, if you get it close, shredded. The idea of these is so we can sort of make it so we can mix up that ship combat, and not everyone can just bring the biggest ship and win just because they have the biggest ship.
You have to send out your best pilots to navigate the superstructure and take down anything that may damage your bigger ships. So at this point you're thinking destroy the turrets, but it's not that easy. This turret has shields that you've never seen before. It won't take any kind of damage. Your missiles won't do anything, your lasers won't do anything, your ballistics won't do anything to them. But like everything, they do have a weakness. You have to cut the power to their shields. To do that, that actually brings you to your first objective, the power relays.
Nee.
Ach so.
Die musst du,
okay, alles klar.
Du musst die
The
ausschalten.
exterior
Da
has a
sind
number
sie.
of power relays that are holding the doors closed so that you
Ich hab
can't
gedacht,
get
du musst
in.
erstmal mit EMP die ausschalten und dann zerstören.
And you have to destroy them. But it may not be as easy as it seems.
Here's our first wrinkle. The
Ja gut, aber
power
das ist nichts
relays have
anderes
their
als
own
wie die
shields that are
PDCs
resistant to
aktuell, oder? Die musst
energy-based
du auch
attacks.
ausschalten,
We
bevor du
know
den
how much you
letzten
like
Schlag
using
machen
laser
kannst.
repeaters, but so do these guys.
Capital ship can't get close enough
So
because of
jetzt
the
nur eine
turrets.
So
Größenklasse
ships with
höher.
explosive or ballistic ordnance will be needed here.
Oder zwei.
That's torpedo ships like your Retaliator or Gladiator, or even another fighter with ballistics loadout. That's going to take you a while.
Torpedoschiffe Und die Polaris erwähnen es nicht
Once the
dabei.
power relays have been taken
Nee, weil das ein
down,
großes
the
Schiff
station
ist. Das
opens
wird ja
up.
angegriffen
And
von
this
den
is where
Trolls.
things get really cool.
Ja, da
Now
hast
it's time
recht.
for you to fly your ship
Das habe ich
inside
jetzt
the
nicht
station.
bedacht, ja.
Yeah, you in your ship fly into the superstructure of this station.
How cool is that?
I feel like this is a proud dad moment. Thank you, Jared.
We're just going to call it what it is. It's a trench run.
Aber wie war das? Very early oder was?
So as you enter the
Schaut,
structure,
ob man-
you'll see cooling units along the sides that you'll need to take out. There's 3 arms to the station that have these trenches. You'll fly into one, and then there'll be a core in the center, and then you'll move out another trench.
Geil.
You're either going to
Richtig
do
gut.
it multiple times
Star Wars
or you
lässt
need to bring
grüßen.
friends.
Jo.
Und das ist alles instanziert, oder was?
At this
So
point,
wie ich
the
das
core is
verstanden
still
habe, ist das eine
protected, so
Instanz,
these
ja.
are essentially strafing
Das
runs.
ist geil. Da bin ich dabei.
There are objects to avoid. You're going to have
Ich hab
to be
nichts
able to
gegen Kämpfen,
dodge.
nur
You're going to have to
gegen
move
PvP.
quickly. You need an agile ship.
Because the shield generator that you're targeting is emitting lots of distortion damage.
So once the cooling units are out, that exposes the core to overheat, which means that you can attack it from the inside and also from exhaust ports on the outside of the station. This core is armored and just takes a whole lot of damage.
Geil. Kannst du durch ein Loch durchschießen mit Raketen.
Once the power core goes down, the turrets come down, and then the capital ships can get closer. Why is that important? Because during all of this, you spend a lot of ammo and munitions and ballistics, and you're going to want to top up.
This is where we're going to get our new feature in, ship hangar refueling and rearming. You're going to be able to land in the hangar of select ships and be able to use the same interface as you are right now at stations to refuel and rearm.
It's specifically for ships like the Idris and the Polaris and other ships that are designed to have other ships land inside them.
Of course, it'll be more than just those 2 ships, and you'll find out more once we get closer to release. But this is a really important feature that
Das
we're
haben,
really
sagen
excited
sie
to
doch
get
gerade,
out.
das wird ja kommen.
Ja, ja.
You're not bringing your own
War eigentlich
Idris.
nicht gedacht, aber
People's
das ist
Alliance
geil, dass
has
es jetzt kommt.
Idris there that can provide a safe port in a storm,
Was
allow
war
you
das
to
nicht gedacht?
set back up and head back out.
And it's a good thing that
Dass
you've
man in
rearmed and refueled too,
einer
because
Idris
now another group of ships is
nachladen
coming
kann
to
und
attack
sowas
the
und
People's
tanken kann
Alliance
doch.
Idris.
Ja, in der
Doch,
Idris,
das
aber
war
nicht in der
ja-
Polaris. Die Polaris hat ja eigentlich nur
Doch,
einen Hangar.
Polaris. Nein, Polaris war auch angedacht, von Anfang an.
Okay.
Das macht ganz nur, haben sie damals gesagt, alles per Hand. Ja.
So
Jetzt
while the
kommt's halt
fighters
ein
are
bisschen
protecting the
anders.
Idris,
Aber es war angedacht.
what's happening at the station?
Definitiv.
Well, that's where the dropships come in.
Now you've got to take
ich aber
a fire team
Ja,
in.
ich auch.
You've got to land. You've got to fight through an onslaught of FPS enemies that belong to this unknown faction, and you've got to open a hangar door which will allow you to release captives from the station.
So nebenbei, bei der Polaris hast du
After
links
you've
und
opened the
rechts
doors and
die
that person's taken
Tankkanister
off,
im
you've
Hangar.
just got to
Ja.
make
Das
sure
ist
they
ja
get
schon
to
allein
safety.
ein Zeichen.
Ja, stimmt, hast du auch wieder recht.
So at this point, all of this sounds pretty simple, but there's an additional complication.
So up until this point, it's just been you versus the enemies in the station. But the enemies in the station have their own enemies.
The Van Duel neighbors who really don't like these guys for some reason will come in and wreak havoc on everything.
And they're not going to discriminate between you and the station. They're out for blood. When you alert the Van Duel by destroying the power core that the station's now vulnerable, you're on a time limit. Van Duel are coming, they're going to come hard, they're going to keep coming. You're going to have one hell of a fight.
War doch klar.
Ja, irgendwie schon. Oh, what?
Und vor allem muss ich sagen, für den Preis ist die wirklich gut. Ja, also, der kostet einen Häfen mehr.
Oha. Guck mal.
Big Mama. Wie geil. Jetzt sag nicht, die sehen wir da drin.
26, hatten die was von gesagt, ne?
Tactical strike groups. I'm personally so invested in this. So throughout 2025, we created a variety of content. Some of it was very focused on FPS combat. So personally, driving a more vehicle-based experience was very important to me. This is a defining statement that I want to do in 2026. We're a spaceship game. There are prized possessions. To the objects we fall in love with. This is the content we want to create, which creates scenarios and roles for you to use those spaceships. We won't get to all roles initially, but we should see this as a landmark, a position where we can see a gameplay space which incentivizes the use of different ships and scenarios to clear objectives and complete missions in a variety of roles. And in the future, we can use this to expand on. So I hope you're all just as excited as I am for tactical strike groups. They're gonna be fantastic.
Schade, über die Dämonen haben sie nichts gesagt. Oder für die Kraken oder so.
Okay.
Vielleicht wollen sie das fast noch nicht aufmachen.
Möglich. Außerdem die IAE kommt ja jetzt auch noch. Da wollen sie auch irgendwas sagen.
Why do you still have the puppet? John, come home. All right, so tactical strike groups. You know, it's been a long road for the last 10 years. The PU's been around. We've done lots to build stuff for mining ships and for salvage ships. And as Rich said, we're currently building out even more for those. And our first refueling missions coming online in 2026. But combat missions. Oh, hi, Aaron Roberts. Aaron Roberts. But finally having enough of the foundation in place that we can begin to build real spaceship operations, in any other MMO they'd call dungeons. It's really exciting for me, and that's why we're ending the show this year with that. So yeah, that's been CitizenCon Direct. Thank you for taking the time to share this with us. Again, this is just a glimpse at some of what's coming in 2026. I've seen the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat like, oh, you're spoiling everything. I promise, we ain't. So before we let you go, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as with every CitizenCon, the last word shouldn't be mine. It should belong to our founders and CEO. So take it away, Chris Roberts.
I hope you enjoyed this glimpse into some of what the team is cooking for the near future. Of course, we're not going to spoil everything that's currently in progress, and many features we haven't discussed today are in active development, like base building, social, and trade tools that are very much a priority. These, along with bringing the final polished features from Squadron 42 into the persistent universe, will make next year the most exciting yet for Star Citizen. Finally, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone at CIG for working so tirelessly and with so much passion to deliver something that is already special and will only get more so as we continue. And of course, to all of you for making all this possible with your support and feedback. We couldn't do this without all of you, something that I and the team appreciate every day. We are very lucky to be allowed the time and the money to build the game of all of our dreams, something that is only more apparent as the video game business becomes more monolithic. We are one of the few large independents left standing, and there is no way we would be allowed to dream as big as we are on an original game and take the time to achieve that dream if we were part or funded by any of the few remaining mega game companies. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the verse this coming year.
Amen, genau.
Sehr gut.
Sehr, sehr nice.
Ja.
Viel Input.
Ja.
Geile Scheiße.
Voll gemutet, weil
ja, haben wir gemerkt.
Ja.
Mochtest uns nicht, aber ist so.
Ja, ich habe den.
Warum hast du die ganze Zeit geredet und hast dich gewundert, warum keiner antwortet, oder was?
Nee,
Genau so.
Ihr habt die
er
ganze
wollte
Zeit
seine Ruhe
geredet. Richtig. Habe ich das dann richtig gehört und verstanden, dass mit dem nächsten Event dann die Javelin kommt oder was?
Nee, das nicht.
Nein.
Nee, die BMM haben
Als,
es gesagt, kommt nächstes Monat.
als Gegner dann oder was? Also
Nee,
das
für,
ist
für die Gegner.
das
Nein,
ist
das
nicht
war nicht die
die
Javelin. Das ist ein
Ja, ich weiß,
Windmill-Schiff,
aber,
Mann.
aber um das King-Ship dann
Kingship.
zu bekämpfen, meine ich.
Ach so, ja, das müssen wir wahrscheinlich erstmal so kriegen.
Ich glaube noch nicht, dass das Kingship ist.
Nein, das ist
Sah
nicht
noch
das
zu
Kingship,
klein
das
aus,
ist
oder?
eins dieser anderen Schiffe. Das war nicht das richtige Kingship. Da wird noch
Doch,
was kommen.
oder?
Nein, das ist nicht das
Nee,
große
das sah für
Kingship.
mich
Oder?
nicht so aus.
Das, ich glaube, das war die Mauler, oder?
Ja, ich weiß nicht, wie die alle heißen bei den Wenn, muss ich nochmal gucken, aber das
Ja, es
Kingship
sah
ist
schon
größer.
aus.
Schande über dein Haupt, dass du die ganzen Bezeichnungen nicht kennst.
Mann, das sind die Wenn, das sind die Gegner. Von denen wissen wir eigentlich gar nichts, außer dass sie große Schiffe haben. So.
Alan Pikes, du sagst das.
Ja.
Das Beste ist nix in Kürze, ja.
Ist so. So. Genau, diese ganzen.
Erik,
Ja.
kenne deine Freunde, aber deine Feinde noch viel besser.
Ja, das kommt ja noch, wenn es soweit ist. Wir sind noch in der Alpha.
So. Von einer Skala von -5 bis +5. Wie fandet ihr die?
Von -5 bis +5, okay. Ja.
Ja, ja.
Solide,
Ist
sagen wir
nicht
es mal
extrem.
so. Solide war es.
Ja, solide, genau. Es war nicht so extrem, aber es war schon guter Infogehalt, ja.
Aber
100, ja.
schon relativ viel in den 2 Stunden. Ne?
Haben viel reingepackt, ja.
Also
Aber
das muss man schon sagen.
jetzt
Also
mal
der ist
ganz,
fast
ganz im
2,5
Ernst.
gewesen, ne?
Ja, jetzt mal ganz im Ernst. Das Allerbeste ist die Stinger mit dem Pit Viper Paint, ne?
Ach komm, bloß weil der ein bisschen grün schimmert. Meine Güte.
Aber was das lustig ist, das habe ich mir schon gedacht. Ich habe gleich an dich gedacht, als ich den Paint gesehen habe. Ich dachte, das wird der Paint sein, was du benutzt.
Aber sowas von. So, ja. Das war die
Aber das mit
Citizen
dem Instant-Sing, das hört sich ja gar nicht so schlecht an. Ne?
Das hört
ist
sich echt gut an, ja.
Und ich finde, sowas muss auch leider in einen Open PvP-Welt kommen, ja, damit halt Kämpfe abgesichert sind, ja, damit halt das stattfinden kann ohne Probleme.
Ist so.
So, ihr Lieben,
ist sonst so viel.
Ich muss mich jetzt leider verabschieden.
Das wollte ich
weil
jetzt aber leider auch
noch
gerade
mit
machen.
noch mit dem Hund raus und
Ja.
B habe ich immer noch eine kranke Tochter hier, um die
Ja,
ich mich noch ein bisschen kümmern muss.
genau das ähnliche Problem habe ich auch. Mein Sohnemann zahnt momentan. Meine Frau hat schon die Augenringe sondergleichen, deswegen da muss ich langsam hin. Sie hat mich jetzt hier schon freigelassen, so gesehen, für die Con. Nee, er mahnt nicht. Nein, das macht sie nicht. Alles gut. Aber sie hat schon gesagt, von wegen am besten, wenn die Con zu Ende ist, dass ich dann vorbeikomme. Wir gucken uns alles weitere am Mittwoch an. Wir gucken uns die Schiffe in-game an. Bis dahin wird wahrscheinlich der Patch da sein, dass wir uns die im PTU angucken können, die Schiffe. Und
Der
dann
ist jetzt schon da.
Ja, oder ist sogar jetzt schon da? Okay.
Ja, der ist schon raus.
Ich schau mir jetzt die Stinger an.
Ja, also das gucken wir uns am Mittwoch auf jeden Fall dann in Ruhe zusammen
Wir können ja einen kleinen Discord After Citizen Digital Talk machen.
könnt ihr gerne machen.
Über Chat. Treffen wir uns im Discord bei DaCasco. Ihr wisst ja, wohin.
Genau. Und für die Leute, die noch nicht teilgenommen haben, jetzt noch beim Giveaway teilnehmen. Ich werde es jetzt gleich ziehen. Und dann schicke ich das auch raus, sobald der Gewinner mir die Daten gegeben hat.
Lasst uns doch mal, so lange können wir ja noch mit einem Satz den Stream sozusagen beenden. Mit einem Satz, jeder von uns. Wie fandet ihr das? Ein Satz.
Ja, fängt einer von euch am besten an, weil ich bin der das Ding ausmacht. Also.
Okay. Ich bin sehr gehypt und freue mich auf das, was kommt.
Also, ich bin auch sehr gehypt und freue mich auch aufs Zukünftige, was jetzt kommt.
Oh Mann, es sagen beide das Gleiche.
Ja, kann man machen, ne?
Ich freue mich auf jeden Fall auf das kommende Jahr, sag ich mal. Ne? Also es erwartet uns ja relativ viel. Ich freue mich auf die neue Biome bei im Nix.
Ja.
Ich freue mich auch. Also ich bin gespannt, wie sie es machen werden, ob wir nur durch Pyro nach Nyx kommen oder ob wir als
Er hat ja gesagt, es gibt einen Stanton Pyro und ein
Stanton nix.
Stanton
meinst du?
nix. Stanton nix
Aber
und
finde ich
Pyro nix.
ich finde es blöd.
Nee, ich
Mal
meine,
gucken.
für die erste Zeit finde ich das ganz in Ordnung. Weil solange wir noch kein Ausweichsystem haben wie Castra, wo wir dann drüber hinwegkommen würden, finde ich das schon in Ordnung, weil sonst ist einfach alles wieder von irgendwelchen Griefern und sowas vollgestellt. Deswegen finde ich das schon ganz in Ordnung, dass das so gemacht wird, erstmal. Sollte dauerhaft nicht so bleiben, aber für den Anfang finde ich das in Ordnung.
Ja, um es zu testen, ist das ja gut eigentlich. Ne?
Weil
Also
sonst
ich
fliegt
mein-
keiner mehr nach Nukes rüber, weil alle durch Pyro durch müssten und da keinen Bock drauf haben.
Ja.
Ich finde, es sollte sowieso mehrere Möglichkeiten geben, in andere Sternensysteme zu kommen, falls irgendeiner mal verbarrikadiert ist oder so.
Ja, grundsätzlich gibt es
Ja,
das
aber
ja.
wie
Grundsätzlich ist das ja
aber
so
wie
möglich.
lange wird's barrikadiert sein? Wahrscheinlich bloß 'n paar Tage, weil dann die Griefer irgendwie sagen: „Oh ne, ist mir irgendwie auch zu blöd.“ Also,
Na, das glaubt man nicht. Das glaubt man nicht. Es gibt in anderen
war doch
Spielen
bei
gibt
Pyro
es
genauso.
ja, in anderen Spielen gibt es aber durchaus Sachen, die ewig dann blockiert
Ja.
werden, dass du da nicht hinkommst. Also gerade wenn es nur eine Möglichkeit gibt. Wenn es eine zweite gibt, dann ist es meistens schon anders. Und wie gesagt, von
Ich
Stanton
will
nach
ja nur
Castra und
erinnern.
dann nach Nukes geht ja auch dann später.
Ich will euch ja nur erinnern, vor einiger Zeit oder vor ein paar Jahren war ja die Rede von dieser instabilen Jump Points, die was ja überall
Ja, ja, genau.
aufkommen sollen. Davon haben wir jetzt auch nichts mehr gehört. Vielleicht kommt der auch irgendwann einmal.
Kann auch sein. So, ihr Lieben, ich mache das Giveaway zu. Jetzt muss ich das wieder neu laden. Ey, was ist momentan los bei Stream Elements? Das ist schwierig. So.
Das musste ich dann noch nie machen.
Dann 3, 2, 1. Der Gewinner ist
Hey,
DaCasco.
Ist denn DaCasco
Nice.
überhaupt da?
Er hat gerade eben
Fragen wir mal
Ernüchterung
so.
geschrieben, also da war er noch. Jetzt ist die Frage, ob er es immer noch ist,
Ja.
ne?
Er ist
Natürlich ist
vor
er nicht mehr
lauter
da.
Ernüchterung gegangen. So sieht's nämlich aus. DaCasco.
Yay, da
willst
ist er
du
ja.
dieses
Also,
Giveaway haben?
ich kann keinen DaCasco lesen. Ich glaube, der ist schon nicht mehr da.
Möchtest du diesen Gewinn haben?
Also DaCasco, GZ, du weißt, E-Mail an mich und dein Handle an mich einmal, dann kann ich dir das zusenden.
Gut. Nichtsdestotrotz,
Genau, ich muss
ich
jetzt
würde
auch.
mich jetzt verabschieden.
Ich werde
Vielen
auch nicht
Dank.
mehr raiden, also
Vielen
ich
Dank.
werde jetzt den Stream auch direkt so beenden, wie gesagt. Ich danke, dass ihr alle dabei wart. Auch hier im Discord, dass ihr mitgemacht habt, das fand ich super. Und wir machen eine After CitizenCon Direct Show am Mittwoch, würde ich sagen. Und dann gehen wir nochmal auf alles ein, gucken uns die Sachen in-game an und dann machen wir das.
Eine Kraken hast gewonnen, DaCasco.
Nix.
Gut.
Macht das.
Also,
Alles klar.
wie gesagt,
Gute
auch
Nacht zusammen. Entschuldigung.
Ciao, gute Nacht, ciao,
Kein
ciao.
Problem. Auch von mir. Tschüss, schön, dass ihr da wart und war eine coole Aktion mit euch hier und bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss.